Here we go. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the slightly late start. If we're live, if we are, all right. Sorry for the slightly late start. Anyway, having issues with the game launcher. Should be working though. If I hit start. Give it a minute, I suppose. Greetings from the black screen dimension. Anyway, hi Kylie. Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Welcome back. If my computer cooperates, we will be getting into Dragon Age Inquisition very shortly, I think. In any case, though, hello, Merry Christmas, Happy Epiphany, all of that. Happy New Year. Even though I also said that Monday, it's still the new year, I suppose. Year's still new. Less than a week. Barely. What is going on here? Launching. We're getting there. Not responding. That's troubling. Oh my gosh. Why have I had so much technical... I feel like I've had a lot of technical trouble with Inquisition so far. It's probably the game engine, which is notoriously unreliable. It has a long-standing and well-earned reputation for unreliability, so I apologize on behalf of BioWare, I suppose. Anyway... Kylie says, I'm going to Disney tomorrow. Awesome. Sounds fun. Where are you going? What you doing? Got plans? To relaunch. Oh, it's already running. No, it's not. You're lying to me. This computer is just... jeez. Kylie says, graphics look awesome. I love the design. Very Void-esque. Oh, yes, I'm controlling the Void. Very, very carefully. Okay, here we go, I think. Still a void, but the void is about to produce sound. Fingers crossed. And then even, perhaps, some images shall be produced from the void. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry about this, guys. I don't know what's going on here. It's fixing itself. It's getting there. Anyway. But yes, happy Epiphany, everyone. Ellie says, my friend Daryl, Dari. I thought this said Daryl. Dari and I are park hopping between Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Cool. Very cool. Got any, like, dinner plans, that sort of thing? Because that's always, whenever I go to Disney, dinner plans, like lunch and dinner plans, food plans in general, usually make up the bulk of my planning. Maybe that's just because I'm Italian. It could be that. But... often that's where the planning goes in. It says, and then next weekend, boyfriend and I are going to a Springs in Disney again. Oh, Disney Springs or the actual, like, there are like springs, like swimming in the kind of springs. Both of those are fun. Especially this time of year, like in the dead of winter, when it is a frigid 68 degrees during the day. I'm kidding, of course. But when it does actually get cold here in Florida, the actual springs, like the natural springs around this part of Florida, the sort of upper middle west coast of Florida area, there's a lot of springs right around here that have a very, very wonderful, pleasant temperature. Like usually the actual spring water sits, they all vary, but it's usually they're all somewhere in the 70s year round. So when it's very, very cold outside, swimming in the springs is like a hot bath with steam floating off of it. And it's absolutely gorgeous. A few of the times I've been to the springs, it's been like that. What's going on here? I swear, the game is setting up. There's a loading bar. Right underneath my picture. I swear. Hold on. Let me show you. You don't believe me. Look. It's... okay, listen, it'll be there. Just... there. See? Look. Look right there. Loading. Alright? There it is. It's loading. I swear it'll work. It'll work eventually. Okay, so yeah, actual springs. Kelly says, I went to Silver Springs a couple of weeks ago. Above the cavern, there's a whole school of fish spiraling around us. Very cool. Cool. I went to the couple of ones that I've spent a good time actually swimming in, like at the springs, Crystal River or Crystal Springs. Those might be two different things. Weewachi, obviously, because that's right there, and it's very, very nice, well developed. And what was the one? There's one more that I went to just a couple of years ago. It wasn't during the winter, so we didn't get this really cool experience of it being like a hot bath. But it's just a spring. It doesn't really. It only feeds off into a few really little streams and rivers. It's not like a big ordeal. So it kind of looks like it's just basically a fishing hole or like a swimming hole, because it's the spring, which is a sand slopes down into an unfathomably deep pit into the ground, which is just so cool. Been to Wakiwa Springs. That's one of my favorites. No, that's one I haven't. That is one I haven't. Crystal Springs. Silver Springs I went to once. I forget if that was one of the ones we actually. Here we go. It's working. I forget if that was one of the ones we actually went and did swimming and snorkeling and stuff in. I kind of think it might not have been. We might have only done the sort of the park kind of stuff there rather than the springs proper. All right, let's just jump into it. Devil's Den, is that it? I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called, but it's near Spring Hill-ish, that area. If you're familiar, could have been Devil's Den. Wakiwa's in a Popka. Okay, that again, that's not one I have. That's not what I've been to. So I would. It's another thing I love about this area of Florida. Just a lot of it, just the gorgeous nature that's around here. The trouble is, outside of winter, it's so hard to have a good time out in nature in Florida because it's like 98 degrees and 120% humidity or something. You know, the dew point isn't like the dew point's like 90 degrees or something ridiculous. So it's when I do naturey stuff in Florida, the best time to do it is like nowish. So on that note, maybe we will. There's a cool little park right around my house that we're thinking of going to. There's a playground and stuff for the kids. There's hiking trails. I forget what it's called again, but it's like right over there. It's right over there. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I love to do in the area. Is one of the best things about Florida, as far as like nature goes. Because as we all know, I'm not a fan of the weather around here. I'm really not. But everything else about Florida I love. So it's really just the weather. Everything else is wonderful. The wildlife, the flora and fauna, the parks and things, even the beaches and stuff. Although I prefer beaches at night, just given my complexion, of course. But all of that, and of course, like, you know, the culture, the people, and all that stuff. I just love it here. Except that it's hot like 11 months out of the year, which is just, I'm not built for it, man. Not built for the heat. Like right now, it's like 68, 60, mid to high 60s right now. I got the window open at least, which is nice. Which, by the way, if you start hearing crazy noises and traffic and whatnot, I do live next to the highway, unfortunately. So let me know. I will shut it for you people.
What have your ears heard, Leliana? Anything new we don't already know about? No, nothing.
Nothing. All right, so next up, since we recruited the mages last time, we did everything involved in that, did a little bit of time traveling. That was wacky. This time, it is time to actually close the breach. I'm going to do that pretty much right away, after we do some of these little war table missions, which are all just texty text. After we do some of these, I'm just going to go ahead and close the breach. Then we'll handle whatever comes after that, because, I don't know, is the game over? How could it be? This is episode 5 or 6, or I don't know, I can't read it from here. Just a hint, it's not over yet. This is like act .5. Anyway, No, there's a lot more to this. Even after you apparently solve the entire main problem of the game, a lot more happens. Don't worry, don't worry. Lots more excitement to come. A page from the Travels of a Chantry Scholar lies on the table. The passage is circled. The region between Lake Celestine and the shores of the Waking Sea, known as the Heartlands, a place of vineyards and gilded marble estates, the locals refer to as the cottages. It is often said that Orlay's heart is plated with gold, and so it seems fitting that the Heartlands are perhaps the richest place outside of Val Royeaux. A note is written at the bottom of the page. Comte de Molière and Marquess I'm so bad at French. Marquess Courtemance? Whatever. Courtemance. Both spending money like water. Which to pursue? This will take a full minute. It's awful. Hate it. And this is with the mod that's supposed to get rid of the times, but whatever. We have agents in place in Courtemance now. We can infiltrate his manor at a moment's notice. Comte de Molière is a distant relation of the Empress. We should speak to him first. That sounds better.
Let us begin.
Okay. All right. 45 seconds. That's fine. Grand Cleric Iona. While the Chantry is ostensibly the Inquisition's ally, a cleric has arisen as a leader of those who oppose it. Grand Cleric Iona of Cumberland has quietly gathered them around her, giving her an early lead in the race to become the next divine. Should she succeed, this could mean a resumption of widespread opposition to the Inquisition, as well as a danger to the Herald of Andraste. That's us. If she has rivals, we should pick one, and give that cleric whatever ammunition we can muster against the Grand Cleric Iona. Grand Cleric Iona has no secrets, but she is dangerous. Has no secrets? There's no way. She has hooked her wagon to this issue alone. We cannot let it take her to the Sunburst throne. She must be silenced. Okay, that's a little extreme. Display of force and a warning are all we need. She is not a fool, and will realize the Templar Order no longer protects her. Well, if Leliana, our spy master, is saying there is no dirt on her, she has no secrets, that seems to imply that Josephine's method won't work. So that eliminates Josephine. I will eliminate Leliana because I'm not in a habit of assassinating religious figures. So let's go with Cullen. Let's go and try and intimidate her into submission. Let's do that. There was some initial ranting on the part of the Grand Cleric, but I think the constant presence of Inquisition soldiers outside the doors of the Grand Cathedral serve as enough of a reminder to quiet the other clerics. Some grumbling remains, but the danger appears to have passed. They've moved on to other concerns. Great. With no bloodshed either. That's always good. Alright, let's see how this turned out. Madame Ambassador, I would be honored to accept your invitation. I shall make arrangements to pay the Inquisition a visit presently, as I have been most curious to see your organization for myself. Sincerely, Comte Renal de Molière. Alright, good. Alright, that's all in Orlais. Land of backstabbing and craziness. Asmal. What was that? Commander Cullen. I understand the Inquisition is working with Redcliffe's mages. I'm surprised someone from Kirkwall would condone any arrangement with them, but it does put you in a position to aid us. Hasmal's circle has sustained a significant damage during the uprisings. Rather than follow the Lord Seeker, many of our Templars elected to remain and deal with the aftermath. But our resources are limited. Furthermore, we have loyalist mages with us. Hasmal's people would happily throw them to the wolves, even though they had nothing to do with the rebellion. As it stands, I fear we may fail in our duty to protect them. I trust you sympathize with our predicament. I humbly request our charges be transferred to the Inquisition. Okay. We have a few Templars of our own. Hasmal's Templars will be comfortable working with them. They can ensure safe passage for the mages. Good idea. Hostility towards mages remains, but there are always ways to travel without drawing notice. Fair. I like the idea of mages and Templars kind of working together for this, though, so maybe Cullen. We can arrange safe passage from Hasmal and let the city's leaders believe they owe us a favor. I think it's better to do the mages and Templars working together thing. That's probably smart. Kylie asks, has anyone seen Encanto? I've watched it 4 times now. Oh my gosh, I've not seen it yet. I heard good things, though. I've heard good things. Not great things. From what I've heard, it's not like one of those standout, one of Disney's best kind of things, but solid. I do want to properly watch it sometime. Certainly. It's on Disney Plus now for is it? I don't remember. If it's out on Disney Plus, I might give it a watch. Sooner rather than later. Commander Cullen, your men arrived this morning. It's good to see the Inquisition still trusts Templars to perform their duties. Once we ensure Hazamel's circle is stable, and that no dangerous items fall into the hands of unsuspecting scavengers, we'll join you ourselves. Knight Commander Bryson. Good. Very good. Okay. Ally from Starkhaven. Ooh, goody. The Inquisition has received a missive from Starkhaven. Oh, yay! A returning companion, unfortunately not actually as a companion. That's sad to say. Kylie says, I have at least 2 of the songs stuck in my head at all times right now. Okay, that's a good sign then. That is a good sign. Then again, now, not to malign your taste in musical music, but I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of most of the music from Moana. I know, anathema, terrible thing to say. But Moana has 2 good songs. And it's a little troubling that I can't remember what they are. How Far I'll Go, which is the best I Want ballad that Disney has put out since Hercules, which is still the best, mind you. But How Far I'll Go is a very, very, very close second. And the other one is, oh gosh, the beginning, the opening song, the one about the village. That one's wonderful. I Am Moana is okay, but it wanders tonally a lot more than I like. I can't stand Tamatoa and his shiny thing. I hate that so much. Oh, sorry, 3 good songs. How could I possibly forget the catchiest song Disney has ever produced? You're welcome. Incredible. I mean, it's not amazing from a musical standpoint, but dear God, is it catchy. Kylie says Moana is good. Yeah, I love the movie. It's very good. It's one of my, at least one of my favorites of the last decade or so. Tangled still has it beat as far as Disney movies go, but Moana's up there. Might be number 2 in the last decade or so, the last 10 years or so. Kylie says, "Oh yeah, there's only 2 songs I absolutely love from that movie. This one is hit for sure." Okay, I'll have to watch and more importantly listen then. Hold on. Before I do this, I need to move. Hold on, I've got user interface problems. I gotta scooch some things. There we go. Better. We know the way. That's it. Yeah, we know the way. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. All right, my cordial greetings. My name is Sebastian Vale. Welcome back, Sebastian. Anyway, it's a shame that he doesn't actually show up in person because of this quest. I miss him, but it's good to at least see where he's at and all that. My name is Sebastian Vale, sole heir to the Vale Princes of Starkhaven. I recently retook the throne of this great city from those who sought to gain it through unjust means. As a most devoted adherent of the Chantry, I felt the loss of Most Holy Justinia V keenly. I too hoped that a resolution to the terrible conflict that claimed the lives of hundreds in Kirkwall and now threatens to claim all of Thetis. I extend Starkhaven's hand in friendship to the Inquisition. Together, let us right the wrongs visited upon the world. Josephine says, I will send emissaries. Though the Free March cities have always been independent, earning the support of the most prosperous ones may be to our advantage. Absolutely. I look forward to the future collaborations with the Inquisition. Please accept this gift from the Vale family's offers. It may be put towards relief efforts in Haven. In Andraste's love, Prince Sebastian. Wonderful. I love Sebastian. At least Tangled is amazing. Yeah, it is. It's probably my favorite Disney movie since the Disney Renaissance, since the big classics. Encanto is a lot around general trauma, and they portray it so well. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look. Like I said, I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, and that being one of them, and how the main character, I forget her name. I haven't seen it yet. How she deals with a lot of the trauma that she goes through, and how she deals with family legacy stuff, and all of that, which is very interesting, and it's good to hear that it's portrayed well. In your heart shall burn. By the way, all of the main story mission titles are pre-established quotes from the Chant of Light. They're the in-universe scriptures from Andraste's Chant of Light. So in your heart shall burn is basically the equivalent of a like the one of those things that suits that stands in for a title of a verse of scripture, that kind of thing. Mirabel's name, thank you. And same with the last two, whatever they were called, like In Hushed Whispers. That's another one. I forget what the Templar one was called, but that is also certainly one. And obviously not things like Scout the Storm Coast, but you get the idea. I'm actually curious, what was the Orlais one called? What was this? Okay, not that one. No, it had another name. It had a name that wasn't just Address the Chantry. There was something else to it. Alright, whatever. Okay, story mission. Big deal time. Let's close the breach. Levels 8 through 11. What the heck level are we? I actually don't know that. I'm going to check first, so I'm not going to wander into this woefully underpowered. I know we're playing on normal, but still, I don't want to get flattened. Character record. Okay, we're level 8. We're in the range. We're low, because I haven't done a lot of grinding. But that's fine. We're in the right zone. So I can go for it. Alright. Let's do it. Close the breach.
The best of the mages are ready, Herald. Be certain you are prepared for the assault on the breach. We cannot know how you will be affected.
That is true. The mages are going to be helping, but they're just going to be augmenting Sable's power, which is a strange thing to say, given that she is the furthest thing from a mage. Okay. For this, let's bring our Inquisition-y people. We need Solus, because he knows about the rifts, at least somewhat. I'd like to bring back Blackwall, but Cassandra's our big old commander. I like bringing Varric. Varric is good to bring to important things. He has a lot to say. Alright, that'll work.
Mages!
Focus past the Herald. Let her will draw from you.
You did it.
I guess that's it. Alright, game over. We're about a half an hour into tonight's stream, so I guess that's all. Alright, so what do we want to play next? What's next on the docket? I'm kidding, by the way. In case it wasn't clear, I'm kidding. There is a lot more to the game. There's a lot more to this game. Anyway. That is one hell of a fake out ending, though. I gotta love it. There's still a big old swirly boo in the sky, but it's not as open to the fade anymore. There's that wonderful tavern bard music. Love it. Empress of Fire, by the way.
Solus confirms the heavens are scarred but calm. The breach is sealed. We've reports of lingering rifts, and many questions remain. But this was a victory. Word of your heroism has spread.
You know how many were involved. Luck put me at the center.
A strange kind of luck.
I wouldn't call it
I'm
luck.
not sure if we need more or less. But you're right. This was a victory of Alliance. One of the few in recent memory. With the breach closed, that alliance will need new focus.
Found it. Found the focus.
To arms!
Good thing we're still wearing our armor.
We must get to the gates.
Piece by piece. Alright, let's level everyone else up, because we haven't done any of that. Enough of that. We can make Cassandra Battlemaster, shouldn't we? Bunch of battlefield control stuff. Gripping chain. Cool. Varric. It's not bad. What's the other one? Do another shot. That's not bad, but explosive shot's great, so I'm going to get towards that. That gives me extra dexterity. Sounds good. Okay. Solus. Frost. Ice Mine's very good. Do it. Kevin says, is it correct to say that Satan fell prior to the creation of the cosmos? No, not quite. That isn't quite correct. Multiple minds sounds better. No, I wouldn't say that that's quite correct. Traditionally, the traditional way that it's set up is that Satan fell not before the creation of the cosmos, but at the moment of creation. Now, as I mentioned in one of my lectures, there's a minority view as well.
One watchguard reporting
just a
a
second.
massive force, the bulk over the mountain.
Under what banner?
None.
Uh-oh.
None?
Interesting.
I can't come in unless you open.
Oh. Why would you open to that? Why would you open the gate when someone says that?
I'm Cole. I came to warn you, to help. People are coming to hurt you. You probably already know.
What is this? What's going on?
The Templars come to kill you.
Templars? Is this the Order's response to our talks with the mages, attacking blindly?
The Red Templars went to the Elder One. You know him? He knows you. You took his mages. There.
I know that man. But this Elder One...
He's very angry that you took his mages.
Cullen, give me a plan. Anything.
Haven is no fortress. If we are to withstand this monster, we must control the battle. Get out there and hit that force, but use everything you can. Mages! You have sanction to engage them! That is Samson, he will not make it easy! Inquisition! With the Herald! For your lives! For all of us!
Yes, Haven is not well fortified. That is something we have kind of pointed out already. Anyway. Okay. Oh, crap. I've got to sell everything.
Almost ready. Keep them off us.
Oh, no. I've got to sell all my stuff. All of my junk.
Come out here!
Oh, that's weird. I went way too far past him. Crap. I goofed up pretty bad here, by the way. Alright, I'm gonna go throw away a bunch of stuff. A lot of this is stuff I just don't need, so I'm just going to throw away most of it. Sorry about this. So Kevin says, is it necessary to his moral culpability that he didn't have the beatific vision? Like, it could be argued that he was somehow meaningfully ignorant of the decision. That is actually something like what Anselm argues. He was meaningfully ignorant, but not of the beatific vision per se. Satan was meaningfully ignorant of how would we put it? That what does this do? Cassandra. Okay, let's have her just do that real quick. And then give her that back. Armor pen, sure. It's got a bunch of other stuff. So it's not, like I said, it's not that I can destroy this because I can just make it again. I already bought it. So it isn't that it wasn't that he didn't have the beatific vision, because the angels were created in the sight of God. They had, if not the beatific vision per se, a close equivalent. Level 9. Okay, well, I'll just destroy it. I don't need it. I'll make something better later. Alright, that'll be fine for now.
We're ready to fire.
So, it was that he did not have this additional something that Anselm talks about. The idea is, roughly speaking, that the additional something was the inability to fall because of the lack of anything else to desire. Okay.
Scented and clear.
What this means, effectively, is that they have It isn't that they have a lack of the beatific vision. It's that they have something missing that God has not given them yet, that God intends to ultimately give them. Blows. That's a good one. Kevin says, the reason I asked is I'm attempting to anticipate arguments made by followers of David Bentley Hart and eventually refute his core claims. Always a good goal. I'm not a big fan of Hart. I like some of the initial things that he's done, but I think he messes up a lot. Ow! Still working on the controls here. This is irritating. There we go. Okay.
More incoming. Keep them off the trebuchet.
Let's get this thing ready. So I think it would be that there is a certain ignorance, but that the ignorance is not of the vision of God, is not of the beatific vision per se. The ignorance, if there is any, is okay. That's good. Okay, we're good. The ignorance, if there is any, is of the situation that God presented, that God set up to give the choice, the results of the choice between obedience and disobedience. And the only reason that ignorance exists is because without it, the choice would not have been meaningful. I've went over this in the lecture. I think it was in the third one. I think on Anselm's case around the fall of the devil. That worked out well. Oh no! A dragon.
Shit! Who ordered the end of the damned world?
Everyone to the gates!
I think the Elder One ordered the end of the damn world. I could be wrong. I'm gonna resupply. I might as well. Okay. Because it was the ignorance of the results of the choice that made the choice meaningful. Because if Satan had known the results of the choice would not have been a choice. Right? If by choosing to by choosing to obey God.
Harold! Help me with this door! Good one! Just grabbing essentials. One die for the forge.
Okay, cool. Saved Harriet. That's good. But yeah, it's
Move it! Move it!
if Satan had known that by willing to obey God, he would have gotten what he was missing already, then he couldn't have willed to disobey God reasonably. There'd be nothing to will.
That beast! At this point, just make them work for it.
Evan says his views on human freedom seem to reduce the guilt of sin more to more of an illness or bumbling stupidity rather than a criminal act. Ooh, bad guys. So he would like to. So he goes on to argue that man doesn't have libertarian free will. Well, that's silliness, quite frankly. Cool. Good. Wait, there's more stuff here? But I got everything. Well, I guess I did. Now, I will say, denial of libertarian free will is essentially is self-referentially incoherent, at least I argue. Now, that's a controversial position, to be fair. Not everyone agrees that libertarian free will is so obviously true. Obviously. But I would argue that to deny libertarian free will is self-referentially incoherent because it is required to assert a proposition. That includes the proposition, there is no free will.
A survivor!
Okay, how do we get through?
I can't get to them!
Door's obstructed. How do I get in? Is there a back way?
I can't. Someone help me.
Sandra, can you handle it? No? Okay. The things around here, maybe.
Another death, I fear.
Oh, I see. I see. This is ridiculous, but okay. So Kevin says I don't want to misrepresent his arguments, though. There we go. But I think he's already dead. Darn it. I didn't make it. Darn it. It's not good. Well, let's keep looking. Still need to help evacuate Haven if we can. He stated his thoughts more eloquently. If absolutely nothing else, David Bentley Hart is absolutely eloquent. Now, I disagree with a lot of his conclusions, but he states his positions very, very well. Always.
I'm falling back.
I think someone is over here!
Okay. Who?
We're
Who?
losing people!
How?
Hear that?
Okay.
Watch out! The flames will reach the pots!
Uh-oh. That's not good. Okay.
Another death, I fear.
Darn it! I cannot believe I'm screwing this up so badly. Everyone's on fire. Okay.
I hear a survivor!
Where?
Thank you.
Okay.
These shits almost had me.
That's all of them. Okay.
We've saved all we can! Let's move!
Alright. Hold on. Okay, cool. So, Kevin says, really the entire structure of universalism seems built on the assertion that man's ignorance is eventually overcome and will choose God. Yeah, it's strictly intellectualist, and despite how much Hart disagrees with Aquinas, he holds very strongly to Aquinas' intellectualist position that to know the good is to do the good, following Plato. Which I think is manifestly incorrect.
What a charming boy.
I think that's, and it's also even overstated how much Aquinas agrees to it, but a lot of Thomists hold to it.
I've seen an archdemon. I was in the Fade, but it looked like that.
I don't care what it looks like. It's got a path for that army. They'll kill everyone in Haven.
The Elder One doesn't care about the village. He only wants the Herald.
So hopefully, like, I'm not dismissing Hart's arguments here, because I don't want to do that. I'll say Hart is brilliant. I disagree with a lot of his points very strongly. I will say, especially his political views are just silly. But and his strong stance on universalism is, I think, just is plainly wrong, but not as silly. That one's harder to refute. His theology is pretty brilliant. His work on divine simplicity, his work on in general on classical theism is very, very good, very, very good. But as you said, I think that he gets it very, very wrong when he takes this very strong universalist position, which derives from a strong intellectualism, which amounts to a kind of it's deterministic for very different reasons than, say, Calvinism. The Calvinist type of determinism is divine will and divine sovereignty and all. The intellectualist form of determinism is a bit more sophisticated, but still just as wrong. I think that if there is any self-evident proposition, it is libertarian free will. And I kind of just put my foot down on that, and I just assert it because it is undeniable, coherently. You can't deny libertarian free will coherently. It's again like I said earlier, to assert a proposition is to choose a proposition to assert, and so to choose to assert the denial of libertarian free will is to exercise libertarian free will. I take Scotus's position and Scotus's argument for this, which goes roughly along those lines, to be pretty definitive. I think that it really is that straightforward, that simple, and so I lean more towards the voluntarism side than the intellectualism side, particularly for human beings. For God, the distinction doesn't make sense, and that's why I think Scotus and then especially Occam following go off the rails, because they try and apply the same distinctions that are present in human intellect to the divine intellect, which you can't do that, obviously, due to divine simplicity. And Occam goes so far as to functionally, if not explicitly, deny divine simplicity. So Scotus doesn't, I wouldn't say does. Scotus gets a bad rap among Thomists. I think that or whatever, I don't know, among Thomists especially, but I think he has a lot of solid points, but a few missteps. He gets a terribly bad reputation, though, especially among Thomists. There are a lot of modern Thomists who say that that philosophy basically went entirely wrong with Scotus. I think the earliest you can push that is Occam, but more realistically, it's with Hobbes. Hobbes, with Hume, especially. A little bit Descartes, a little bit Rousseau. But Hume was the big one, followed by Hobbes, then the rest of the Enlightenment milieu. I think that's what really did damage to the medieval synthesis. Theology and philosophy kind of uniting and coming together. Anyway. Like Wizkid says, like Jung among Freudians or Freud among everyone else. I assume you mean everyone else who isn't a Freudian? Yeah, basically. Jung my biggest objection to Freud is that methodological stuff aside, because that's not my expertise, I take it on authority that he had really stupid methods. But analytically speaking, like from my expertise, philosophically, his big problem was that he worked exclusively in metaphor and then took the metaphor too seriously. He analogized the mind to the hot new technology at the time, which was the steam engine. And he drew all sorts of conclusions from that, just like a lot of modern cognitive scientists draw conclusions about the mind being like a computer, both of which are absurd. And they're just as absurd, and they're absurd for exactly the same reasons. So, yeah, that's my biggest problem with Freud, psychologically speaking. Oh, and his writings about religion or about theology are hilariously stupid. Like I've read a lot of Freud's work on theology. It's just bad. It's the ramblings of an immature of basically a particularly immature 13-year-old. It's very much in the same vein as Richard Dawkins writing on theology. All right. So I've already closed the breach. Sable would do the self-sacrificial play, if needed. Let's go for it.
If it will save these people, he can have me.
Solus
It won't.
disapproves.
He wants to kill you. No one else matters, but he'll crush them, kill them anyway. I don't like him.
And what are
Don't
you?
like... Herald, there are no tactics to make this survivable. The only thing that slowed them was the avalanche. We could turn the remaining trebuchets, cause one last slide.
We're overrun. To hit the enemy, we'd bury Haven.
We're dying, but we can decide how. Many don't get that choice.
That's rough.
Yes, that. Chancellor Roderick can help. He wants to say it before he dies.
There is a path. You wouldn't know it unless you'd made the summer pilgrimage, as I have. The people can escape. She must have shown me. Andraste must have shown me so I could tell you.
What are you on about, Roderick?
It was whim that I walked the path. I did not mean to start. It was overgrown. Now, with so many in the Conclave dead, to be the only one who remembers. I don't know, Herald. If this simple memory can save us, this could be more than mere accident. You could be more.
Here is where it really starts to pick up, like I've been saying before, where the main drive of this story is the Maker's hand being active. This whole story is one of destiny. It's one of providence. And it's done so well. So very well. It feels... They made it feel like you're being guided by the hand of the divine. By the Maker, because the divine is a title. Whatever, you get the idea. By the divine hand, what we would say. And it's because, and it's without it being so explicit, right? There's no, like, you getting visions directly from the Maker. None of that. Yeah, there was the whole being saved by Andraste thing. We'll see about that. But so much of this is providential. It just feels providential. Like you are on a path to victory and you were put there by the Maker. It's really well done, and it's subtle, which you don't get in really heavily religious themed games often, or stories in general, which I like. I really like this. Biscuit says, this is why I don't like Jung, why I like Jung. You can get the metaphorical stuff, but you can actually apply it universally and in a way that actually makes sense. Yes. But again, that's all archetypal type of thing, which is a little bit different. It's very, very different from the Freudian type of thing or the modern cognitive science kind of thing. Kylie says, oh my god, yes. Like, I made so much of the impact on psychology field through projection alone. His findings definitely were valid in certain respects, but damn, that dude needed his own therapist. Talking about Freud, yeah, that too. Yeah, definitely. I'm more of an Adlerian or Rogers person myself. I'm vaguely familiar with Adler because you've talked about him. I think him. Rogers less so. Evan says, is there any benefit to having a disposition towards learning where you prefer to seek out understanding on your own as opposed to being guided by others and with others? I'm trying to think of one. But I would say only if you're a mystic. And even in that case, you're being guided by God, not by another human being, not by another knowing human. That's the thing. That's I think the difference. And I don't think that we can. I don't think there are distinctive benefits to coming to knowledge on one's own. I mean, you have the I suppose the benefit of avoiding bias, but that's counterbalanced by not having the ability to avoid error and the error that others have made before you. I think that is a much greater benefit. This kid says, yeah, I love the more symbolic aspects of psychology more than how the mind works on a technical aspect. Oh yeah, likewise. Obviously, I'm a philosopher, so of course I do. Kylie says, I'm not really understanding what you're asking, Kevin. Could you elaborate? I don't know. Did I answer? How did I do on that? I feel like unfortunately, I'm just shooting you down here, but I tend to be very communal in terms of epistemology. I follow Linda Zygzebski on this. If you haven't read her, Kylie, you have. I made you read her. I'll put it in the description. I'll put at least something that she wrote in the description. Hopefully that's findable. If not, let me know. I can send it to you. I have a PDF version. Where she counters Reformed epistemology, which is a broadly Calvinist sort of view in epistemology, but that relies on properly basic belief formation. So it deals with beliefs that just occur automatically, but she refocuses it so that it is communal, beliefs that arise in an epistemic community as being reliable. And I think that's a very good point and a very solid method. And he says, I like a mix of both, how the mind works technically and how it ties into symbolic aspects of different theories of psych. Yeah, I'm more of the theoretical guy, more symbolic and theoretical guy, because, again, philosophy. Insofar as I'm interested in psychology, I'm more interested in the symbolism and theory. WizKid says, oh, by the way, I confirmed anthropologically and biblically that Gehenna, Hell, and Hades, underworld, the grave, as distinct places and states of being, so I'm pretty psyched about that. Interesting. I think that's right. Because Hades, underworld, the grave refers primarily to the Old Testament before the harrowing of hell. Harrowing of hell. And then Gehenna is post Christ primarily. Something along those lines. That's the distinction that comes to my mind, at least. Ellie says, my main thing with therapy is like Rogers and Adler's approaches of considering the whole person, their past, present, and helping them reach goals within their lives. That actually, I think, brings up one of my biggest qualms with psychology, is that it is vert-free. It does not present values, ends, and goals of its own. It only, at least clinical psychology, typically only pursues the values and goals of the patient, which is, I think, doing half a job. As a philosopher, at least. Kevin says, no, that was close and helpful. I don't know if it was 100% sure what I was asking. Kylie says, that's why the name sounds familiar. I legit was trying to remember Zygzebski and psych. Yeah, she's great. And I think there are psychological applications there as well, especially in terms of communal, how we learn together. WizKid says, oh, dude, I'm a bit obsessed with the symbolism. The technical stuff is interesting and helpful, but I'm so much of a people person that I tend to tie the two together. And Kylie as well. Yeah, I get that. I can see both of you. I can see how that works particularly well for both of you guys. All right, let's see. Let's rely on our friends. Colin.
What about it, Colin?
Speaking of community.
Will it work?
Possibly, if he shows us the path. But what of your escape?
We'll see.
Perhaps you will surprise it. Find a way.
We'll see.
Inquisition. Follow Chancellor Roderick through the channel. Move!
Pardon.
Herald, if you are meant for this, if the Inquisition is meant for this, I pray for you.
They'll load the trebuchets. Keep the Elder One's attention until we're above the tree line. If we are to have a chance, if you are to have a chance, let that thing hear you.
Let's go solo a dragon. Oh, not solo egg
I
dragon. Okay.
understand the strategy, but I usually avoid drawing this much attention.
Okay. Oh, inventory's full again. Great. Again. Okay. Okay. Let's go. WizKid said C.S. Lewis and that said that fundamental psychology cannot impose morality. Hold on. Let me just read all this. Cannot impose morality onto patients like religion does. I really can't agree more with him on that. Actually, the original idea behind Gehenna referred to a place just out of the walls of Jerusalem where people would ritually sacrifice children to Moloch. Yes, that I know, but it's used as a name for hell, as in hellfire, as in the part of the afterlife. And it's named that as a correspondence to the fire pit outside of Jerusalem. Now, as for psychology not imposing morality onto patients, yes, but I think that's more of a safeguard. That's more of a safeguard against clinicians abusing their position and abusing their authority, rather than it being something fundamental to the act of therapy. Because the act of therapy, if we read a lot of intellectual historians, it's largely preceded by confession, spiritual direction, and that for sure does impose morality, impose duty. And again, I think that those. I don't know how wise it is for us to have separated out those roles. Maybe it's fine, but at least it should be the case that those two are, if not the same position, that they work together in tandem. I think that that's crucially important, and it's something that I think we're largely missing, socially speaking. Evan says, I think that one of the best things about U3 is that I feel like I'm in the position of a student rather than being the answer man for others. Refreshing and life-giving. I always love that. Because despite the name, the channel name, over there and down there and whatever, I'm a student, and I acknowledge that with respect to a lot of people. That includes my actual students. I learn more from my students than I probably learn more from my students as a whole than a lot of them learn from me, and that's maybe not a great thing. But, you know, the numbers are up. They have the number advantage, let's put it that way. There's a lot of them to teach me things. I'm just teaching one thing to all of them, you know? If that makes sense. Ellie says, I'm thinking that it isn't really a therapist's job to impose, more to guide objectively. Help patients come to their own conclusions with issues that they have through introduction coping tools. That's true, but I think there does need to be I still think there needs to be something like an objective standard that they're striving towards. The idea that therapy is guided purely by the value systems of the patient it can be dangerous, because it can be pointed in precisely the wrong direction. Busquets says specifically they would be ritually burned, eventually geographic place began to be used to also refer to the place of destruction and judgment where the damned would go. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It says, Kylie, I'm a college dropout that cleans things. You're super smart. some of the smartest people in the world are college dropouts. Some of the smartest people in the world are wildly overeducated. And some of the dumbest people in the world are wildly overeducated, and some of the dumbest people in the world are college dropouts. So who knows? It can go really any direction, in my experience. Wiskett says the main issue is the therapist-patient relationship in the modern era is framed by secularism, and secular society fundamentally will not allow the imposition of morality onto others. Yeah, that's a problem. Oh, dude, me too, Kevin. Wiskett says it's so refreshing to have actually stimulating intellectual conversations in my life. It's true. One of the big things that I miss from you know, that whole end of the world thing is the faculty lounge discussions. Just chatting about fascinating topics in the faculty lounge with other incredibly learned experts is something that I miss terribly. That I don't get much anymore. And when I do, a lot of it's this. And I mean, you guys aren't like experts in philosophy, but y'all know your stuff. Oh, I'll say that. You guys know your stuff. You listen to me quite well, and you do a lot of reading on your own, to the point where you guys know a lot about a lot. And man, I miss, like, a friend of mine, a friend and colleague of mine, when I was early enough on in graduate school. He and I would just kind of talk about random stuff, whether that is topics of our classes or whatever else. Okay, let's start this. Or whatever else, and a lot of it was just, we happened to meet in the faculty lounge, and we would just talk about philosophy for hours on end. Come on, lock on already. There we go. Okay. Come on, really? There we go. Alright. But like, we would just chat for, like I said, for literal hours, about one of the big ones, a conversation that went on for way too long, was, color theory.
Be ready. More coming our way.
And just the question of objectivity of perception, and the problems that arise for objectivity based on qualia problems and things like that. Stuff like, do different people perceive color differently, and if so, what does that mean for what colors mean? What does it mean for something to be blue if we all perceive colors differently, just even hypothetically? And this conversation went on for hours, to the point where I left and I came back, and he and some others were still talking about it. There are solutions to this problem, by the way. I don't really necessarily want to go into them because they're complicated, but let's keep aiming. This is kind of more important. They can handle this. Anyway, let's get this. Kylie's dead on. The best we can do is help him draw. Oh, jeez, come on. Oh, come on. Really? is huge. This is great. Ow. Oh, wait, that's not right. Okay. You need a potion. You definitely need a potion. No, I can do without one for right now. Anyway, so I'm gonna read through some of these. I'm getting behind. He says exactly. Thinking the therapist also tasked with being a teacher of some sort to a patient. The therapist guides the patient away from the destructive conclusions through these coping tools, as well as using reflection and paraphrasing the patient's own words to get them to see that their own thoughts needed to change in order to reach goals and better themselves. I think that that's approaching something somewhat better. I kind of think there needs to be a little bit more than that, but I think we're getting close. Kevin said, I love the mage leads in the last two games, but I'm really appreciative of the rogue combat in this one. It's so hard. I'm not good at it yet. I'm really bad at rogue combat for now, but I'm getting a little better. I still think I like mage combat better, even though it is a lot more like stand back and go pew 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 and just lay down explosives and things, but whatever. Oh, this is a solid separate thing. Detrixism. I was researching Chinese history, learning about the pre-Buddhist understanding of theology, heaven, and those similarities to other Western philosophers of the same era is fascinating. Yeah, especially looking at like the pre-Socratics. Looking at the pre-Socratics, there's a lot of parallels to Buddhism. Especially early Buddhism. Early Buddhism, as it was kind of emerging from that kind of framework, really interesting. I love looking at those East-West parallels, whether that's sort of within the church, within Christendom, or whether that's further out than that. Wizkid says it depends on the therapy, but yeah, cognitive behavioral therapists are more teachers than the more people-y kinds of therapists. I love cognitive behavioral therapy, and I've studied it extensively for a non-specialist because of its relationship to Stoicism. Ooh. Riley says she's taking cognitive psych this semester. I am interested in following along with that. That sounds fascinating, and I'm interested to see what you're learning, because, like I said, the subject fascinates me. WizKid took it last semester. Cool. Evan says, oh, Kylie, by the way, my Grizz baby sister is looking to become a therapist and specialize in music therapy. Very cool. I'm glad that's a thing. I think we got him? Yeah, I think we got him. I'm really glad that's a thing. Music therapy. I assume that means therapy with music. Amulet of aggression generates more threat. Oh, I kind of need that. All right, hold on. Let me trash some stuff. I think let's try this. There. WizKid. I don't need Malachi. Let's just vendor trash. More vendor trash. Valuable, but whatever. Vendor trash. Yeah, I can pick that up. WizKid said the issue is not is always going to be the necessary imposition of morality. Facilitate real change in a person, which today's world is always tricky. And again, you can do this within communities, which, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I think is missing from a lot of our, especially American society, is that we're disconnected from each other to a large degree, and that makes it so much harder for us to work within a functioning moral community, especially. Don't forget Detrix comment. Yeah. Did I miss it? I mentioned the parallels between sort of early Buddhism and pre-Buddhism, and especially the pre-Socratics. I think that I love looking at those connections.
Move! Now!
Oh, Kylie's looking at musical therapy to add on to her future career. Very cool. I love that idea. I love music therapy. I love so much about it. Goes so much back to Plato in maybe more way. I'm maybe reading into it too much, but I love that. Oh, here he comes. WizKid pointing out that the complication of different treatments for different issues and different people, especially different clients. Yeah.
Enough.
Oh no, it's a big scary dragon.
Pretender.
Oh no.
You toy with forces beyond your ken no more.
Oh, so intimidating. I love it. I love this villain, who we will not name yet. We'll let him name himself. He should look familiar, though, I think, if you watched the Dragon Age 2, or Dragon Age 2 stream. But Kevin said, yeah, I'm assuming so. I don't I'm not completely sure about the details, but basically she tells me it's using music as a catalyst for psychiatric therapy. Yeah, especially, and from what I've heard, it's especially effective with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. That music can trigger memories that otherwise are very difficult to dig up. I know there's tons of other uses as well, but that's one of the key clinical uses of music therapy that I know of. Most likely need music theory or some form of music classes in addition to psych. So maybe make sure she looks into that. Yeah, that is. I mean, everyone should look into music theory at least a little bit. Kylie, looking at you. Haven't I said this to you? I'm sure I've said this to you multiple times. Do music theory. Erica says, okay, I'm listening to poo in the background. Another video, not listening to you other than more white noises are. Yeah, no, that happens. Michael's obsessed with Winnie the Pooh, so it's very often that we watch every Winnie the Pooh movie that exists in a given day. So anyway, the little dragony thing I was waving around is named Ruby. This is one of Serge's toys. It is perhaps the cutest. It is fingerlings is what these are called. They're perhaps the cutest toys ever invented. And hold on, let me turn her on. Oh, you guys can't hear it. Oh no, it's the voices. Oh, isn't that cute? All right. Anyway, this one and this is the new one. This is the one she got for Christmas. The older one that she had before is Sloth in Kingsley. Same sort of thing. This is the second generation of Kingsley. The previous one died. She kind of accidentally killed it. But we'll never tell her that. We won't know that until she comes back here to this stream and watches it 15 years from now. It realizes that her first Kingsley died horribly. She got it wet, and it started making horrifying noises from its electronics. I feel terrible. Poor little robot toy just died. It was dying horribly and slowly and painfully, and we had to throw it away and replaced it without telling her. Kingsley felt better, much better after though. Anyway, it's he feels better now. His soul has transferred to the new body. Anyway, so all that aside, Kylie said it's too late though. I'm graduating this semester. That will not stop you. Should not stop you. There's always the chance for further education, first of all. Second of all, I think I mentioned the idea of auditing a class, didn't I? Something like that. I think that's a good idea. Biscuit says I still have that DVD, Springtime with Rue. Been a long time, though. It's Michael's favorite, by far. Oh, no. The Heffalump movie is his favorite. You should see how adorably excited he gets when Lumpy's mom shows up at the end, like the big emotional climax. I know I'm kind of selling this emotional climax short by talking about this, but still, he's just full of excitement. Which one is more Sable? I don't fear you, creature, or why are you doing that? I think why are you doing this? No. Smack talk it. Smack talk the big bad.
Whatever you
Mom
are,
has all the
I'm
way
not
into
afraid.
duties.
Words mortals often hurl at the darkness. Once they were mine, they are always lies.
I love how
Know
rich and
me.
deep that voice is.
Know what you have pretended to be. Exalt the Elder One. The will that is Corypheus.
That's why it looks
You
familiar.
will kneel.
Erica says she literally licked him to death. Yeah, previous Kingsley got licked to death. She was trying to style his hair. Evan says, Kylie, thank you for the advice. I'll tell her. She'll probably roll her eyes at me and tell me she already knows. I think she's trying to hurt me, so I'll be her first client. That's called job security.
You'll get nothing out of me.
You will resist. You will always resist. It matters not.
A thing? He's a thing. Watch out, he is
I
a
am
thing.
here for the anchor. The process of removing it begins now. It is your fault, Herald. You interrupted a ritual years in the planning, and instead of dying, you stole its purpose. I do not know how you survived, but what marks you as touched, what you flail at rifts, I crafted to assault the very heavens. And you used the anchor to undo my work. The gore.
It's a boon from Andraste. She saved my life.
Then your lady wished me to kill you, for her boon is a beacon I cannot let escape. I once breached the Fade in the name of another to serve the old gods of the Empire in person. I found only chaos and corruption, dead whispers. For 1,000 years I was confused, no more. I have gathered the will to return under no name but my own, to champion withered Tevinter and correct this blighted world. Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of the gods, and it was empty. The anchor is permanent. You have spoilt it with your stumbling. So be it. I will begin again. Find another way to give this world the nation and God it requires. And you, I will not suffer even an unknowing rival. You must die.
Your arrogance blinds you. Good to know. If I'm dying, it's not today!
Yeah, that empire. Tevinter, if you're wondering. That was Corypheus, the boss that we fought at the end of one of the DLCs in Dragon Age 2. One of the ancient Tevinter Magisters, High Priest of Dumont, the old god of the first, I believe of the first Blight. One of the ones who breached the Fade entered the Golden City and unleashed the blight upon the world. Real bad guy. Real bad guy. And now he's trying to do it for himself instead of his old god. Also, yeah, I'm going to weigh in on this. I think gaslighting gets overused, but I think that qualifies. I'm assuming it was jokingly, but yeah, I think it qualifies as gaslighting. But yes, that... Now the game takes a whole new direction, doesn't it? And see, this is what I mean. Again, here's another example of this whole, like, divine providence thing. This seems so much like... I interrupted the ritual, accidentally ruined the anchor. It's stuck, faded to Sable. And that so gravely interrupted the plans of Corypheus here that there's nothing he can do. He has to start over. And then we threw an avalanche at him. Dude. Kylie, I really hope you're talking about my little fingerling danger lizard that's so cute, not Corypheus' giant Zombo dragon. WizKid says, damn it, Hawke, you could have stopped him before it happened. Untrue. Hawke killed him, remember? We're going to talk about that with Varric. As to how that all works. Excuse me? Mark of the Rift. Oh, hello. Okay, I need to reconfigure that because it's in my stab spot. I don't want that in my stab spot. Let's put it here. And let's put this back there. Eventually we'll get our specialization too. Ericus, you mean if he had just kept his stupid nose out of it, that's how he could have stopped it? Yes, Hawke could have. That's probably true. Yeah. Ooh, what's down this pathway? That's interesting. Nope, can't go up there. Fascinating. I've never actually explored these side paths. Highly asked question, who would I be in the MCU? That's a good question. Oh, and she says the zombie dragon was cute. Oh, well, okay. That, I don't agree, but okay. Fair enough. Would you be in the MCU? That is a difficult question. We're freezing to death. My instincts say Sharon Carter. Not 100% sure why. That's what my instincts tell me. This is not looking good. WizKid says it makes it even more apparent that Hawke was originally intended to be the Herald. Yeah, it really does. It really does. This whole thing was Hawke's problem from the start, so it makes sense that he would be the one to try and fix it, but he's not. There's nothing in the spoopy tunnel. That was part of those ruins under Haven, in the Temple of the Sacred Ashes.
Nothing.
That we were wandering through back in Dragon Age Origins. Uh-oh. Wolves? That's not great. Well, we're wandering. Funny thing happened recently. Last few days. The Tolkien Society was being predictably cringy. Which is really unfortunate thing that I have to say. The Tolkien Society should be a pillar of all things wonderful and good, but that's not been the case lately. They some minor little page, little Twitter page thing. Oh, Kevin, I was saying Sharon Carter, her niece, more so than original Agent Carter. Detrick says, never understood why Mage Inquisitor couldn't just conjure up a fire in this section. I mean, I get it, dramatic tension and all. Too weakened by the Blight or something?
Embers.
Maybe? I don't know.
Recent?
By the all the bad things. Okay, so recent embers, that's good news. Wizkid says, I don't like how Cap screwed Sharon over. Yeah, that's another one of those major plot holes caused by the recent shows. That is backstory damage that gets dealt. I'm thinking more Sharon from the previous, from like Winter Soldier and Civil War, more so than the what's it called, the broker or whatever her title is now. Ooh, look at that. That means survival.
It's her.
Thanks,
Colin.
Maker.
And Cassandra. And 2 other friends. Yeah, this is Carter. I didn't know I was that much of a badass. I love it. Hey, I again, instinct. I'm not exactly sure what, but just personality-wise, you remind me of her.
What would you have me tell them? This isn't what we asked them to do.
We cannot simply ignore this. We must find a way.
And who put you in charge? We need a consensus or we have nothing.
Please, we must use reason. Without the infrastructure of the Inquisition, we're
It
horrible.
can't come from nowhere.
She didn't say it could.
Enough! This is getting us nowhere.
Well, we're agreed on that much.
Shh.
Another
You
cell.
need rest. They've been at it for
Thank you.
hours. They have that luxury thanks to you. The enemy could not follow, and with time to doubt, we turn to blame. Infighting may threaten as much as this Corypheus.
She's incredibly wise. I love that. Anyway, a thing I was going to mention, the Tolkien Society just did it. So there was this tiny little Twitter page. The Melon Heads, get it? Melon Heads friend. Anyway, I think it's a podcast or something. But they posted a picture of Tolkien and said celebrating his birthday, his 130th birthday, and naturally, the Tolkien Society started replying, "Do you have permission to use that photo? We paid £18,000 for that photograph." I'm just like, what? Why are you harassing a tweet that has like 300 followers? Are you insane? And they just got railed over. They just got raked over the coals by basically all of Twitter for being such dickheads, which is a really, really common thing now for the Tolkien Society. They are really losing the plot lately. And by lately, I mean since Christopher died. They've been just horrifying. Last year's big conference was just awful in every way. I watched some of the presentations and they were very bad. That's another thing I'd like to tear apart with some of you guys. Could be fun. Or just intolerably cringy, I don't know which. But man, they just for some reason just went after some tiny little fan of Tolkien for using their picture just because they're a-holes. Anyway, I thought it was very funny that they got dragged so hard for it, because of course they did. As they should have. Anyway, the whole subplot is another reason I dislike Infinity War. Like seriously, Cap, you start a relationship with her niece just to just to cheat and go back and marry her in the past anyway. He didn't cheat. He didn't even start a relationship. He kissed her once. In a moment of difficulty. That's all. Cap has a type, I guess. That's his niece technically, but he didn't know it at the time. I like to sort of retcon that as Uncle Rogers always used to right before that was happening, old Uncle Rogers would tell Sharon, I was like, okay, listen, I'm really sorry about how younger me is going to act, but just go with it, please. It turns out for the best. Just trust me. Because otherwise, that's the awkwardest thing ever. Anyway. Ellie says, y'all, tomorrow at Disney, I'm going to have an outfit that is kind of like if Belle from Beauty and the Beast dressed in a boho athleisure look. Boho athleisure. Is that a spell? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I'm old, remember? Good to see Twitter. It says, good to see Twitter actually doing something decent for once. A fool of a took posting has fallen to Mordor. Oh, yeah, I know. I realistically, at this point, I only follow explicitly Christian and mostly just explicitly Catholic Tolkien sources. That's kind of it. Netricast to the Tolkien Society go, my precious, about an online image. It's kind of hilarious. Basically, yes. Somebody, oh man, one of the best replies, somebody reply tweeted and said, yeah, where do you think I got it? And posted a screenshot of them going to the Tolkien Society's website and copy pasting the image from the source code. I'm just like, oh man, that's harsh. It's great, but it's harsh. Oh man. He says, I haven't actively read through Twitter in a hot minute. I've never, ever actively read through Twitter. No, I did like 3 times once when I tried to make a Twitter account. I've since deleted it, I think. I think I did. I don't remember. I hate Twitter so much. Oh, WizKid says, oh no, like cheat isn't cheat the laws of space-time. Also gross. I mean, I shipped it hard, then I was disappointed. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I like his ending better. I like his endgame ending better. See my Loki video. I actually think the time travel in Loki worked. Sorry, not in Loki. Good lord, it doesn't work there. But the endgame time travel, I think, works well. Comparatively much better than in Loki. I actually think it works, narratively especially. Anyway.
Do we know where Corypheus and his forces are? We are not sure where we are, which may be why, despite the numbers he still commands, there is no sign of him. That, or you are believed dead. Or without Haven, we are thought helpless.
Great.
Or he girds for another attack. I cannot claim to know the mind of that creature, only his effect on us.
Erica says, Lord of the Rings memes on Reddit has done nothing but continuously post that picture and meme it to oblivion. I love that. That gives me hope for at least some aspects of the Lord of the Rings fan community, that they're seeing through the crap that is being put out by the Tolkien Society.
The only thing yelling gets us is a headache. Another headache.
They know. But our situation, your situation, is complicated. Our leaders struggle because of what we survivors witnessed. We saw our defenders stand and fall. And now we have seen her return. The more the enemy is beyond us, the more miraculous your actions appear. And the more our trials seem ordained. That is hard to accept, no? What we have been called to endure. What we perhaps must come to believe.
I love that, by the way. I absolutely love that. Again, this is another aspect of this whole destined or guided by divine providence thing. Oh, Kylie says, bohemian fashion meets leggings and casual wear. Still not completely clear what that means, but okay. Closer, getting closer.
I escaped the avalanche. Barely, perhaps, but I didn't die.
Of course, and the dead cannot return from across the veil. But the people know what they saw.
Still miraculously
or perhaps
saved.
what they needed to see. The Maker works both in the moment and in how it is remembered.
Still saved
Can
miraculously.
we truly know the heavens are not with us?
Mother Giselle, I just don't see how what I believe matters. Lies or not, Corypheus is a real physical threat. We can't match that with hope alone.
Eric's game set up for tomorrow. It's going to be 4 hours of boss fight, I'm sure. Cool. Looking forward to it, Eddie. Saturday's looking good, too. We have an escort mission lined up. A couple of other things. Cool. I'm going to be quiet for this. This is great.
Still your heart, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky for one day soon. The dawn will come. The shepherd's lost and his home is far. Keep to the stars, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky for one day soon. The dawn will come. Lay your blade and raise it high. Stand your ground, the dawn will come. The night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky for one day soon. An army needs more than an enemy. It needs a cause.
I love that part. It's like they did the Liliana song thing from the first game, but they did it better. They did it in a much more organic and non-cringy sort of way. I think that was fantastic. Really like that. Ooh. Eric is looking at boss battle music, and Larry being Fargus is going to be hilarious.
Worth heeding. Her kind understand the moments that unify a cause. Or fracture it. The orb Corypheus carried, the power he used against you, it is Elven. Corypheus used the orb to open the breach. Unlocking it must have caused the explosion that destroyed the Conclave. I do not yet know how Corypheus survived, nor am I certain how people will react when they learn of the orb's origin.
Also, WizKid said, that gives me life, get wrecked usurpers, but the Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien Society thing. Oh, yeah. I'm not a fan of the Tolkien Society anymore. I used to be. Before Christopher died. As it so happened. Anyway. I will, I'll also, after the stream, I'll put in the description, and maybe in the Discord as well, a beautiful choral rendition of Dawn Will Come, that song. It was done by Peter Hollins. If you're familiar with him, he's an a cappella singer, an incredibly talented a cappella singer. And what he did was he had hundreds of people, of his followers, submit recordings of themselves singing and arranged it into a choral arrangement of the song. A kind of joint performance of hundreds of people across the internet. It was incredibly cool. It was absolutely gorgeous. I'll put that in the description, definitely. It was fantastic. This kid, what does Egg want? Confess that, you know, the elves are somewhat responsible for some of this. It's no big deal. Fine. How does he know that? Whatever, it's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Nothing sketchy about Egg.
All right. What is it and how do you know about it?
They were foci, used to channel ancient magics. I have seen such things in the Fade. Old memories of older magic.
Yeah, okay.
Corypheus may think it, Tevinter. His empire's magic was built on the bones of my people. Knowing or not, he risks our alliance. I cannot allow it.
Okay, so I don't know if you can hear this in the background, like when I speak. There's a horrendous rattling coming from outside. Because I have icicle lights in the tree, in the magnolia tree out in the front yard, and the wind just picked up. So the lights are just rattling together against each other like wind chimes. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if this actually works. See that? Probably not. Can't really see how well it's rattling, but man, those are just going crazy. Anyway, that's that. I got the jostling a bit, but there's that. Anyway, really neat. At least I've been watching a lot of Doctor Who clips lately. Really. I haven't followed the latest couple of seasons, really since Peter Capaldi's first. I watched his first season. At least his Peter Hollins is awesome. Absolutely. I love his stuff. I love his covers. They're fantastic. Anyway.
They'll have to set aside blame while freezing is their first concern.
We are agreed on that. And I may have a solution.
I don't like that he lit veil fire, which is in the lore explicitly cold fire. WizKid says Peter Hollins is alright. Not a big fan of his more religious stuff, though. Interestingly enough, I prefer Clamavi de Profundis. They're really good too. That is true.
By attacking the Inquisition, Corypheus has changed it. Changed you.
Hey, here comes the thumbnail.
Be their guide.
This is gorgeous. I really hope I'm not getting copy struck for all this music.
There is a
We'll
place
see.
that waits for a force to hold it. There is a place where the Inquisition can build, grow.
I love this. Kevin says we got actual snow finally. I listened to the Skyrim soundtrack while it fell on the way to work this morning. It was cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty appropriate. This stuff too. This actually works just so well for that like snowy wilderness kind of thing. I still can't get this right. Centered properly. What that? Skyhold. The new fortress of the Inquisition. Now, I have to say, it's a big fortress, it's really cool, but its position is it's incredibly defensible. And it's big, but it's a fortress, it's a castle. It's not like a town, which really just, this raises the questions that, okay, so the Inquisition is a big force. Right? Yeah, there's room here, there's courtyards, there's towers, there's castle, there's a lot here. But, where does the Inquisitor keep her armies? The Inquisition is armies. It's not just this enough. It's not just the people that would stay here. So where does the Inquisitor and the Inquisition keep her armies? I think I have an idea, though. In her sleeveys.
They arrive daily from every settlement in the region. Skyhold is becoming a pilgrimage.
Get it? Keeps her armies in her sleeveys? I've been waiting for 5 episodes to say that. Anyway, moving on.
Will have reached the Elder One.
Will says, must be hell on logistics. Yes, that's taking my question seriously.
But this threat is far beyond the war we anticipated.
Anyway.
But we now know what allowed you to stand against Corypheus. What drew him to you.
Kylie says, now Whitaker's doctor, though controversial, but being the first female doctor. Kylie says, I think people needed to warm up to Capaldi's doctor. More into the series, one gets the better doctor he gets. I liked him from the start. I really liked him. I thought he was great. Whitaker's doctor, though controversial because the first female doctor and stuff, there's some good moments with the portrayal. Just the writing needs to be worked on. I think that's a large part of it too. A lot of the writing in the latest couple of series, from what I've heard, because again, I've only watched a couple episodes. There's a lot of contrivances. There's a lot of leaning way too hard into cliches and tropes, and the companions don't get the kind of fleshing out that they usually get, and all that kind of stuff. But what are we gonna do? Biscuit said, actually, I sometimes sing Peter Holland's "I See Fire" cover sometimes. That got me through a lot of really tough stuff in high school. That was really good too. Honestly, I think better than the original. A lot of his covers are honestly better than the original. I See Fire being one of them, but mostly just because I don't actually like what's his face, Mr. Ginger Singer guy. Not a fan of his. Kevin, remind me to send you a video of our puppy playing in the snow yesterday. Oh yeah, I saw that. But yeah, no, that was adorable. Yeah, Kylie says his cover of I See Fire was awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, better than the original, in part because I don't really like Ed Sheeran. That's his name. I'm not a big fan of his. Erica says, I found 3 songs and they all have Latin chanting, so you know you're in for it. Yeah, that's good boss music right there. Anything with Latin chanting is good boss music. Not anything, but the best boss music has Latin chanting. Let me put it that way. Or the setting appropriate equivalent, depending, I suppose. Yeah, we're going full-on woman of faith here. Go for it. 100%.
This all began with Andraste's blessing. It was that simple.
Yet did her blessing grant you worthiness? Or was it given because you were already worthy?
I think the former.
Your decisions let us heal the sky. Your determination brought us out of Haven. You are the creature's rival because of what you did. And we know it. All of us. The Inquisition requires a leader. The one who has already been leading it.
It bothers me that even a two-handed warrior cannot use this sword. Like, this sword is purely ceremonial and is not actually a weapon. It bugs me a little bit. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but still. It'd be cool if you could use it.
You.
Will says Latin chanting is why Nier should have gotten the best OST in the Game Awards. Oh, of course it should have. Of course it should have. Nier has an incredible soundtrack. Are you talking about the more recent one? Because I haven't listened to all of it yet. I've only heard bits and pieces. But if you're talking about Nier Automata, oh my god, that was such a good soundtrack. Honestly, I will say, this game's soundtrack is amazing as well. However, too many of the musical themes are just the main theme, that is Dawn Will Come, sort of remixed and changed around a little bit with different instrumentation, different tempo, and that kind of thing. Too much of it relies on the same theme. This included, what we're hearing the ambient music now. This is just Dawn Will Come with different instrumentation and a different sort of a redux of it. But in any case, see? A little line there, that's Dawn Will Come. But yeah, too much of the music in this game is just Dawn Will Come. Otherwise, though, it is incredibly well done.
It's unanimous. You all have that much confidence in me.
All of these people have their lives because of you. They will follow.
That wasn't the question.
I will not lie. Handing this power to anyone is troubling. But I have
to
believe
replicant. Okay.
This is meant to be. There would be no
I should sit down and listen to all of it.
You. How it will serve, how you lead, that must be yours to decide.
I will restore what Corypheus could never destroy. I am but a servant of the light. The Inquisition belongs to the faithful.
Wherever you lead us.
Have our people been told?
They have. And soon, the world.
Commander, will they follow?
Inquisition, will you follow? Will you fight? Will we triumph? Your leader, your herald, your Inquisitor!
Yeah, now this is a fortress. Will says, I feel like Trevor Morris left his best tracks for the DLC, like Trespasser and Descent. I think that's true, but there are some really good tracks in here. The main theme's amazing. That was a good version of it. But you're also leaving out...
This is where we turn that promise
you're leaving out the tavern songs,
But what do we do?
which are some of my favorite
We
parts
know
of the
nothing
soundtrack of
about
this game.
this Corypheus, except that he wanted
I
your
love
love.
the tavern music, the little bard songs.
Corypheus wants to restore Tevinter. Is this a prelude to war with the Imperium?
I get the feeling we're dealing with extremists, not the vanguard of a true invasion.
Tevinter is not the Imperium of 1,000 years ago. What Corypheus yearns to restore no longer exists. Though they would shed no tears if the South fell to chaos, I'm certain.
Oh, by the way, one of my drinks that I'm drinking is some more of this this raspberry lemonade that we made that that Saoirse has called the best lemonade ever. It's very good. It's from my parents' lemon tree. The lemons are, at least. Which they have by accident. They accidentally grafted lemons onto a grapefruit tree. Now they have a lemon tree. A grapefruit tree that died, by the way, but they grafted it on and it survived, and now it's producing lemons, and they're very good. They're a little bit grapefruity somehow. It's very strange. For those of you non-Floridians, citrus trees are bizarre. They're very strange things. WizKid said, I want more Nier games, all following a different alternate timeline. That could be cool. WizKid cut to Varric narrating again. Yeah, no, that was Solus narrating. We could use more Varric narration here and there. Will said, oh yeah, tavern songs are great. They're actual tavern songs too, not like hearing Ragnar the Red for the trillionth time in Skyrim. Yeah, there's like 10 or 12 of them, and they're all really good. My favorite is what's it called? What is it called? It's the one about the sky. Crap. Cannot remember for the life of me what it's called. It's going to kill me. I'll find it eventually. When I notice it, I will point it out, because there's one of them that I think stands head and shoulders above the rest, that I absolutely love it. I'll remember eventually. I will remember eventually. But they're very, very good. Like, all of them are really well made and very traditional. Hyley's gonna head to bed, getting up early tomorrow. Good night. Good night. We'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping in. Have fun at Disney tomorrow. Happy Epiphany as well. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of those wonderful things. It'll come to me eventually.
Could his dragon really be an archdemon? What would that mean?
That'd be very bad.
It would mean the beginning of another blight. We've seen no darkspawn other than Corypheus himself. Perhaps it's not an archdemon at all, but something different?
Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Commanding such a creature gives Corypheus an advantage we can't
Excuse me.
ignore.
Corypheus said he wanted to enter the Black City, that this would make him a god.
He is willing to tear this world apart to reach the next. It won't matter if he's wrong.
What if he's not wrong? If he finds some other way into the Fade?
Then he gains the power he seeks, or unleashes catastrophe on us all.
My favorite is called Once We Were. I'll put the original and then as well as a great cover of it, as well in the description. There's a musician on YouTube called The Menagerie that does really great instrumental covers of a bunch of the Bard songs, a bunch of the Tavern songs in Inquisition, as well as a few other things. And she's fantastic. She does all the musical parts, all the instrumental parts, and it all with, for the most part, traditional medieval instruments. It's great. It's called her channel's called The Menagerie. Highly recommend. That'll be again in the description once the stream is over. Okay, that's priority 1, right? I think so.
Could he strike at us here? We can't have a repeat of what happened at Haven.
Skyhold has the bones to withstand Corypheus. After what you did with one trebuchet, I'd bet against direct attack.
He doesn't have a
We
dragon.
do have one advantage. We know what Corypheus intends to do next. In that strange future you experienced, Empress Selene had been assassinated. Imagine the
That's a
chaos
clue.
her death would cause. With his army.
An army he'll bolster with a massive force of demons, or so the future tells us.
Corypheus could conquer the entire south of Thedas, god or no god. I'd feel better if we knew more about what we were dealing with.
I know someone who can help with that. Everyone acting all inspirational jogged my memory, so I sent a message to an old friend. He's crossed paths with Corypheus before and may know more about what he's doing. He can help.
I bet I know who he's talking about.
I'm always looking for new allies. Introduce me.
Parading around might cause a fuss. It's better for you to meet privately, on the battlements. Trust me, it's complicated.
Okay.
Well, then,
Cassandra's gonna be
we stand ready to
mad.
move on both of these concerns.
On your order, Inquisitor.
I know one thing. If Varric has brought who I think he has, Cassandra is going to kill him.
Yeah. Correct. Not literally.
This is
Exactly.
The Inquisition. A dusty old ruin filled with battered soldiers.
If you shut your mouth and open your eyes,
We're not
you'd
going to do the
see that
Abyss thing yet.
Inquisition is our one hope.
Okay, so we have a bunch of things that we need to do. Because this is Skyhold. This is our big fortress. Okay. Oh, hello? I can't go in there. Fair enough, I suppose. Let's go this way first. Let's go see what's over here. Is this the way down? No, it's the next door over. This Josephine is over here. And was that clicky? There's something maybe above us. I don't know. Yeah, WizKid, it's your boy. It's your boy. Sup, demons? It's your boy. Cole's around somewhere. Let's see how we're settling in here, yeah? Oh, I should before I talk too much, before I go into talking in the game, I wanted to also mention the other holiday-ish day of memorial for that is coming to be called Insurrection Day, which is just such a joke. I wanted to mention though that because it's January 6th and we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the insurrection that tried to take over the the self-guided tour of the capital last year. That whole thing. Says Cassandra's going to be jealous. No, she's going to want to kill everyone involved because she spent the entire last game looking for Hawke. That's why. But anyway, there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up about this. One is that evidence has come out since then that it was basically 100% driven by federal agents, by the FBI. The whole thing was brought about by the FBI. and there's extensive evidence on this. There was a great podcast a few days ago by Scott Horton, who I've mentioned before. I'll put a link to that in the description and in the probably in the politics Discord channel, where he basically just lays out the extensive proof that that the whole insurrection or whatever you want to call it, the self-guided tour, was planned and executed by the FBI as an entrapment scheme and as a psyop, basically. So there's that. So cool, I guess. And then of course there's also a related poll recently that was very troubling. That well, how it's been framed by the media was that a full 1/3 of Americans polled believe that violence against the government is sometimes justified or can be sometimes justified. And meanwhile, I'm just here thinking, well, that's terrifying. It is utterly terrifying to think that a full 2/3 of Americans think that violence against the government is never justified. What? Like they know how our country was founded, right? That it was a violent insurrection. Like what? What is this? Matt Christensen did a great analysis of this, I think. WizKid says it's my new favorite national holiday. God. Kevin says they really did a massive amount of pageantry over it today. It was miserable and expensive to behold. Yeah, especially the whole like prayers to the nation. There was a prayer vigil held to the god of the nation. Basically, it was a very explicit display of paganism, of imperial paganism. Very disturbing, but yeah, WizKid. Yes, yeah. There was a poll recently. About 1/3 of Americans believe that violence against the government can ever be justified, which is an all-time high since they've done polling on the subject, which terrifies me that a full 2/3 of people say that violence against the government is never justified. What in the hell is going on there? What? Man, it is this problem. That's a real problem. Kevin says 33% is enough. Yeah, but that's troubling. That's really troubling that so many people are so deluded about, if nothing else, the fundamental premise behind the foundation of our country. Come on. Yeah, that it bothers me. It's rather disturbing to me that so many people are that. Statist is the only way to put it. Sorry. I know that's a libertarian cliche, but there you go. Anyway, it drives me nuts. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Highly disturbing. And honestly, the more disturbing part is that basically everybody, in the media at least, everyone with the right opinions, the message, the narrative, is quaking in fear that 33% of people believe something so obviously true. Come on. Come on. Yeah, WizKid says 33% is far too low. Gotta bump up those numbers. Yeah, those are rookie numbers. Those are bootlicking numbers. Those are Australian numbers. What is this?
I've made some inquiries
Anyway.
into the Imperial Court. The sooner we deal with the threats to the Empress, the better. The political situation in the Empire is dangerously unstable. It will complicate matters.
Everything in the Empire complicates matters. It's the Orlesian national pastime.
Turn your nose up at the grand game if you like, Commander, but we play for the highest stakes, and to the death.
The Court's disapproval can be
Great.
as great a threat as the Venatori. We must be vigilant to avert disaster.
I despise Orlesian politics, but it's also interesting and fascinating and fun. Speaking of backstabbing and political maneuvering and all that sort of nonsense, here we go. Here's a great example. Anyway, violence in politics, all manner of assassinations and such like. Of course we have it.
Exactly what do you mean? How is it more dangerous than usual?
The Empress is in the middle of a civil war. Her cousin, Grand Duke Gaspard, seeks to take her throne by force. Leliana reports that a group of elves has been sabotaging both armies, drawing out the hostilities. Orlais holds Tevinter at bay.
But why
All
though?
of Thedas could be lost if the Empire falls to Corypheus. Selene is holding peace talks under the auspices of a grand masquerade. Every power in Orlais will be there. It's the perfect place for an assassin to hide.
A grand masquerade? I need to go shopping.
We don't have enough sway with the court to arrange an invitation. Perhaps a few more alliances.
Or soldiers.
We need a greater
Okay.
presence in Orlais. And soon.
Okay, well, that's a priority, eventually. Wiskin says, makes you want to prove them right, doesn't it? Wait, which part? I don't know exactly what that was in the context of. The instability of Orlais, you mean? Kind of. So by the way, I'll bring this up. This isn't obviously we're not going to do this tonight. Probably not going to do this next week. Probably not even going to do this in 2 weeks because there's a lot that is involved in the lead up to this, in the whole the thing with the masquerade and the political maneuvering of the game and all that stuff. Whatever that quest is called, that one. Usually, I uh-oh, Erica, kill it. There's a bot. Usually I keep Selene in power. I keep Empress Selene in power because she does express approval of the Inquisition and all that stuff. But there are two other options. There is an elf that you can help put on the throne, or being the power behind the throne, or you can put Gaspard, Duke Gaspard, onto the throne. Or there's another option or two, but I usually keep Selene on the throne. But there are other options. That's something that we can talk about, especially during that quest, because I actually don't quite know which I want to go with. This time, I usually keep Empress Selene on the throne, but like I said, there are other options that we can look into, that we can think about. Kevin says my dad was trying to tell me about the news about it today, and I was like, Dad, these are lizard people. These are lizard people, pedophile Satanists, and I already know everything about them that I need to know. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. That's about right. What should I do here? Kind of want to just go down the passives. What is this thing? What does this do? Successfully performing an ability combo, it earns additional focus. Yeah, nah. I'm just bad about that. Ability combos, I'm not very good at ability combos as a warrior yet. Sorry, as a rogue yet. I don't want to do this. It's sundering when flanking. It's pretty good. Or do I want to just go with damage more if their health is lower? Kind of. And it adds my cunning. That's always good. This also adds to my dexterity. Yeah, I'm going to go up the passives. I'm going to chase passives. That's always a good thing to do in the skill trees. Oh, the pansies who worship the government. Yeah, okay, I getcha. I get you, Wizkid. Yeah, okay. I'm going to make a save here real quick, just because. Okay, finding the war room. Oh, sweet, we get a perk. I kind of want to do this because it'll give me pockets.
I've arranged an accord between the Marquis and the Dowager. Wonder of wonders. Perhaps they can be useful to us after all.
Is there any other knowledge ones that we can get? Oh, magic knowledge. Sable doesn't know anything about magic. Underworld, not maybe. Increased experience is good. That would be very good. But I kind of want more pockets. I kind of really want more pockets. Okay, so let's do... Ooh, 50% experience for each codex entry unlocked. Okay, that might be good. Same with magic. I think I'm going to go with the underworld thing. Sable would know about that stuff. Increased focus. 10% increase to defenses. Nice. Healing potions, mage schematics. Nah. Okay, I'm gonna go with underworld knowledge. I really want pockets. That'll be maybe next. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of questy things available. All right. Let's look at them all. The Western Approach. Venatori in the west. Exalted Plains. Empuis du Léon. Emerald Graves. There's a lot of places that open up here. All right, Hunterfell. Okay. Based on the revelation at Haven that Venatori operatives report a darkspawn believed to be the Magister Corypheus, threat assessment of possible Venatori has been prioritized as vital. Duke Tithys Pentagast rules the Navaran city of Hunterfell. The former military hero prided himself on his open-minded attitude. Duke Tithys, I'm going to go with Tithys, rules with the help of a secret network of old adventuring companions and possible lovers, as they are all rumored to be beautiful women, of course. Information on the 5 bells of Hunterfell is limited, but they are known to include humans from both Orlais and Ferelden, an elf, a dwarf, and even a Talfa Shoth. Known or suspected backgrounds range from suspected Mortalitasi or Dragon Hunter to Bard, Smuggler, or even Apostate. We believe one of the 5 bells of Hunterfell is a Venatori agent working to advance the agenda of Corypheus. This will be very fun. This is one of those logic puzzles of, is it the person with the species and the role, and you have to figure out who it is. BioWare's really good at these. These are fun. I'm going to go ahead and do this, but not first. We'll do the other things first, because this actually takes some thinking. Kevin says, I've finally given up all semblance of job preservations and begun to openly ignore PPE requirements at work. Good for you. It's exciting in a way to rebel for sensible reasons. Yeah, and I also have to add, like, at this point, you have the backing of not only the science TM, but you even have the backing, like, explicitly the backing of the CDC. That things like cloth masks are a facial decoration. No more than, quote, no more than a facial decoration. Quoting the head of the CDC. And to say that masks work, that cloth masks work and are effective to prevent the spread of COVID-19 is medical misinformation by CDC standards. Sorry, that's how it works. Apparently, I've been told that we're supposed to listen to the experts, since the beginning of this. Fine. The experts have finally come around to acknowledging reality. Took them long enough, but here we are. That helps. Honestly, that helps. Helps me that, I'm in Florida, and most people here are sane. That said, most people who are not on university campuses are sane. University campuses are islands of insanity in a sane world these days. Not these days, that's always the case. Alright. Dorian's request. Now that you're in charge, there's something I thought I'd bring up. There are Venatori mages out there lurking in the wilderness. This comes as no surprise to you, since you can't swing a dead cat without hitting one of Corypheus' minions, but these particular Venatori have additional significance to myself. For one, I know them personally. I would call them friends, except that would imply I didn't want them dead, which I do. Since I have an idea of where they might be, thanks to an investigation I began before coming south, I thought we could put our heads together and track them down. At which point they would sneer something at you and to Vinter, and you would be forced to kill them. Which makes everyone happy. You for eliminating a potential threat, me for eliminating men and women too stupid and short-sighted to be a permitted continued breath. They would be less happy, but who cares about them? Up to you, my Lady Inquisitor. Dorian, you sly bastard. Josephine says, if there are Venatori out there, they'll show their faces. Someone has seen them, Coin loosens their lips. Liana says, let's look into this carefully and quietly. We don't wish to alert the Venatori to our awareness of their existence. Good idea. We have former Templars, skilled at hunting mages. I can send them to follow Dorian's leads. Tevinter mages are not used to Templars. That seems wise to me. Dorian's leads were effective. The Inquisition found several locations where these Venatori could be hiding. Advanced camps, purposes unknown. If you wish to deal with these mages, I'm certain Dorian would be pleased. I'll mark the locations on your map should you pass by any on your travels. And we'll do that with Dorian as we're wandering about. Sounds good. Cool. Let's not do Gather Coin. Let's not do Frostback Basin. This one is a DLC quest, so we'll not do that yet. Will says, sucks for Australians, though. No kidding. Getting arrested for not wearing a mask, and an ineffective one at that, is borderline insanity. Borderline? Australia went way overboard with insanity a long time ago. Long time ago. I would say years ago, like before all this, like when they were, doing things like, back when they were doing things like banning firearms and stuff. That was already insane. All right, truth or dare, see and be seen. We need Josephine for this. Madame Ambassador, words cannot express my gratitude for your gracious hospitality at Skyhold. After the events at Haven, one can hardly go anywhere in the Empire without hearing the word Inquisition. I shall be glad to have some facts to add to the wild rumors. I am as grieved as you to hear the vicious slander being spread. Justinia V was the best of us. It pains me to think others would pollute her legacy in such a matter. I travel to Val Foret soon. I shall ensure my cousins know the truth of this matter. Sincerely, Comte Renaud de Maurier. Josephine, now that he's been here, we should talk to the nobles he's been seen with and let them all know. Good idea.
Let us begin.
45 seconds, though. Okay, fine. Whatever. That's fine. Reclaim the Mage Rebellion. By the way, still have some wonderful beef jerky that I made with way too much cumin on Monday. I actually like what I did here. Accidentally too much cumin in a teriyaki beef jerky. Works very well. All right, Fiona. I've got the word out to everyone we could, but some cells were too remote to reach. We'll all need the Inquisition to contact them. At least to let them know the Templars are gone. They are gone, right? Right? Ooh, Sketch. That's Liliana's old friend. Can send a few agents with a mage from Redcliffe to persuade those cells to come in. Good idea. They're likely afraid to come out of hiding. I can send a few non-Templar soldiers to protect the mages on the way here. Nah. Noble mages may not believe we aren't Templars. I can ask the Banhorn to help contacting them. Now, let's send Liliana. It's an old friend of hers.
Inquisitor.
15 minutes? What is this? My mod is supposed to get rid of that. Darn. Okay. I guess some things are not fixable. Kevin says it's full-on insanity. Yeah, what has been happening in Australia? Absolutely. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. Literal concentration camps. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. My dear Josephine, I passed along the news of de Maurier's visit to a few influential parties, implied that he was perhaps trying to butter both sides of his bread. Describe the outrage if this idea provoked, but that would make this letter indecent, and your spy mistress would have absconded with it. You play as beautifully as ever, my dear. I can hardly wait to see what de Maurier's next move is. Give my love to your parents. Yours, Vicomtesse Elodie de Moreau. Okay. Hinterland resources. Hinterlands is a notable resource depot. Elfroot and Onyx. We need Onyx. Onyx and Drakestone. Yeah, let's focus on Onyx and Drakestone. Cool. Oh, that's repeatable. Okay, that's repeatable. I'll get around to that. I'll keep doing that eventually. And here we go. Conscript for the Inquisition. Well, that settles it. You face a Darkspawn Magister who commands something that looks suspiciously like an Archdemon. I defy anyone to tell me that this is no blight. We have Black Walls trees, and we have cause. Thetis will require little persuasion. We use information. Grey Warden influence may loosen even the tightest lips. Information and conscripts are well enough, Inquisitor, but gold secures these things, and more. Nah. We need to bolster our forces. Let me conscript more soldiers. Yep, let's do... I'm going to wait for Liliana, because this is probably going to help us most. Disaster in the Deep Roads, that's the DLC. We'll come back to that eventually. Darkspawn activity, let's see. There are reports of Darkspawn activity on the Storm Coast. While the area is sparsely populated, the Darkspawn poses a significant threat to travelers, as well as the Inquisition soldiers stationed on the coast. Should the Darkspawn branch away from the region, villagers further inland may be at risk. Let's go with bring soldiers to determine where they're most concentrated. Yeah, that sounds good.
To work?
Conducted sweeps of the Storm Coast and determined where the Darkspawn are most concentrated. Our Ferelden-born soldiers are quite easy to see them driven back. Scout Harding. Okay. Gonna open up some quest stuff. On the we can see. The Alamari runes found in the mountain passages outside of Haven have finally given up more of their secrets. Pointing to one of the larger islands off the northern coast of Ferelden, The island is quite large and covered in dense wilderness, so searching it will be an involved process. According to the runes, however, there should be some connection to the original disciples of Andraste and the, quote, guardian of the sacred ashes. A few skilled agents, I know of a few adventurers trustworthy enough to send to the islands. Let them search and report back to us. Or go in force. I like adventurers.
Inquisitor.
I love adventurers. We found what we were looking for, an ancient vault, all but buried in the thick vegetation at the heart of the island, no doubt untouched for over 1,000 years. The effort to open the vault without setting off traps was considerable, but what we found within was interesting. According to an ancient named Wherein, this was the retreat of one of the last of Andraste's disciples, a guardian who fled some manner of attack on the site of the sacred ashes. He expected reinforcements by other disciples who never arrived. Whatever texts the man thought to preserve have mostly crumbled. We recovered a number of other artifacts from the site. It is a significant find that will undoubtedly prove of great interest to Chantry scholars, even if it will take them years to sort through all the debris. Nice. Will said, speaking of Australia, I was just reminded of New Zealand banning firearms due to the Christchurch shooting, which was exactly what the shooter wanted in the first place. Yeah, that's ironic. He also wanted everyone to turn against PewDiePie, and look what happened. Look at the repercussions of that as well. All of it's insane. Like that, everything that the Christchurch shooter wanted, everything that was in his manifesto, happened immediately. Everyone, the left, the authoritarian left at least, played so directly into his hands. It's horrifying. Will says, the guy was an accelerationist who said his goal was exactly to force the governments to ban guns. Sanity has long left those lands, it seems. Yeah, it was... Because of course it worked. Of course it worked. The authoritarians are so predictable, so manipulable, and it's so easy to find them an excuse to take more power. Detrick says, I wouldn't mind mass mandates if that meant we could go to work as plague doctors and other decorative choices. That's true. That could be fun. I mean, I think it was even a thumbnail back when I was streaming Red Dead Redemption. I went to Winn-Dixie in a bandana pulled over my nose and a cowboy hat. I think I used it as a thumbnail even. That kind of stuff's fun, but it gets old quickly, you know? I don't know. And the whole mask thing, it prevents effective communication and dehumanizes people around us. That's the worst part of it. It further fragments an already fragmented society. That's the gravest danger of the mask thing. I said this back when we were playing Red Dead, too. I have a clip, even, that I published separately about, like, what is it that a mask does, symbolically and practically in society, is it develops further barriers between people. It dehumanizes us to others and others to us. And that's incredibly dangerous from a sociological perspective. Will says, I actually saw a guy at a bus stop with a Tokyo Ghoul mask once. That's pretty good. That's great. I thought about getting a Blue Spirit mask at one point. Like the full face Oni mask. That'd be fun. Alright, Ruffles. First off, you play a mean hand of Wicked Grace. Second, the lead you dug up for me on finding this Balenfirth guy in Kirkwall is starting to show some promise. I got my editor to look around for me. She's a coterie boss, so people tell her things whether they want to or not. She tracked down the poor sod, carrying the manuscripts out of Kirkwall. This is where it gets weird. The courier is a magistrate, Lord Werner Cammering. The coterie won't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Maybe you could have a polite word with him for me? Magistrate courier. He has to be involved in something else. Let's find out what. Or I'm owed a few favors in the Viscount's office. I can call one in. Okay. I have a friend in Kirkwall Guard. She might be willing to talk to this magistrate. That sounds like Aveline, so let's do it.
Inquisitor.
Oh, it's not. It's Brennan. Okay. Cullen, we found Magistrate Cammering dead in his home. Oh, wow. There's no sign of forced entry, but Cammering was holed up in a closet in full armor with a knife in his back. Wasn't that a scene from Hard and Hightown? The guard is investigating now, and tell Varric to watch his back. Brennan. Unsavory parallels. A copy of Hard and Hightown sits open on the table. Jevlin was waiting outside... Wait, hold on. Let me get my voice right. Jevlin was waiting outside the captain's office when Dunn and Brenikovic slunk out, defeated. We're not getting a warrant, are we? Javelin looked almost relieved. No. Donovan met his partner's eyes. The kid was barely 20 and looked like he'd walked straight to Kirkwall Barracks from somebody's potato farm. Taller and broader than the other guards, Javelin slouched as if he didn't know how to fit in his own limbs, as if he thought he should be smaller. Hunched over in his brand new too large armor, he looked like a child playing at being a guard. He was too green for a murder investigation. Maybe it's for the best, Javelin said, almost speaking Donovan's thought out loud. You're on your way out of the guard, and He trailed off, then sighed. Questioning nobles in the middle of the night wasn't covered in training. Donovan glared at the kid. I'm a city guard, and so are you, recruit. Nobody gets away with murder while we're on duty. Javelin stood a little straighter. What do we do then? Captain wants proof, Donovan smiled. We bring her proof. Liliana has written a note in the margin. Dead magistrate, attempting to implicate Varric? Why? And in what? If an assassin killed the magistrate, a word of the crows might tell us who it is. Okay, fair enough. We should support the official Kirkwall Guard investigation. I agree. That's a good idea. Oh, Erica says, yeehaw, big, Whiskey says yeehaw. Erica says, big Arthur vibes. Hell yeah. Whiskey says, the dehumanizing element is what disturbs me the most. Yeah, absolutely. Darn it, another robot, another bot. Kill it. Kill it dead.
Let us begin.
Okay, a letter's arrived at Skyhold, addressed to nobody. No one saw the courier who brought it. You encroach upon the domain of higher powers. You will answer to us. The letter is unsigned, except for a wax seal depicting 6 crossed swords. Fascinating. Okay. Are the Arcanist? Excuse me. Skyhold has incredible potential for runecrafting and mastercraft smithing. Only we had a gifted mind to gain full benefit. The war and the Venatori have claimed many experts, but we have located an Arcanist with great skill and a reputation for humbling first enchanters in both Andrastian and Imperial circles. 2 assassination attempts and at least 1 explosion have made landholders reluctant to allow her passage through their territory. It will take significant effort to bring her from Tantervale. This Arcanist would be invaluable to the Inquisition. Kevin said, I see more people wearing the mask on their chins than anything else these days. They're also the kind that piss their pants over fear over it. I do at times leer at them with contempt. Lovingly, of course. Of course, naturally. Yeah, I have taken to audibly and visibly snickering at people who still wear masks in public, especially outside. Shame is a powerful tool. Alliance can overwhelm any concern. The owners of where she will travel need only be convinced of the worth of pleasing us. Okay. Full retinue will secure her safety along the Imperial Highway. I like Liliana's idea, but again, she's busy. And the other 2 aren't so bad. Let's go with Cullen. The Arcanist has been secured. Despite great cost and the concern of more than a few traditionally minded mages, she awaits a meeting with the Inquisitor in the Undercroft. Awesome. Cool, good, very good. Strike a bargain with the merchant princes. Okay. The allied merchants of the monarchy of Antiva have inquired whether they can assist us in any fashion. They can provide us with some of the finest goods in Thedas, a powerful boost to our prestige, and spread our influence north. The merchant princes will also attempt to ensnare us in contracts so convoluted that we will be eternally tied to them. If we're interested, we must send our most skilled negotiators. Our diplomats will be well respected, and I feel we can come out ahead in the bargain if we're prepared to commit to it. Ambassador Montelier. Chosen a few dozen diplomats to handle the exchange. I will, of course, inspect everything we sign myself. Good idea.
Let us begin.
Fantastic. All right. A bundle of documents, at least 50 pages thick, explains the trade agreement the Inquisition has entered into the merchant princes of Antiva. Josephine has attached a note. Inquisitor. I'm more than satisfied with the agreement we reached with the merchant princes. Here is a duplicate if you wish to review it. I do not. I would put aside 3 days and 2 dozen candles. Ambassador Montelier. Sable definitely does not want to review contracts and reports. Ooh, Ostwick noble families. This has to do with the Inquisitor's family, I think. You may recall we offered your distant relatives and free marches a promise of aid. One branch of the family has asked you to mediate their dispute with another. But their description of events is rather convoluted. It apparently began with an insult during the harvest ball in Ostwick over the quality of their milch cows, and escalated to a pitched battle between 200 soldiers last week. Really, it would do us good to step in, if only to preserve the name of the Trevellians as a whole. Ambassador Montelier. Spies might be useful, but it may not matter if blood has been spilled. Okay. Let's hold a talk between the wounded parties in Orlais. Wise to remove them from their power base for discussions. Good idea. Contain the fighting. We can sit both sides down at the table once they surrender to us. No, let's just drag them to lay. Netizen, hello, welcome, Netizen. Doing a bunch of these text adventure quests. A lot of these I really like, by the way. A lot of effort clearly went into this. Dear cousin, I did not expect you to come to our rescue, as we haven't seen each other since we were babes, but you have, and I'm grateful. I'm not a woman who speaks the way that diplomats do. If yours hadn't stepped in, this useless bickering would have become worse. The Inquisition has saved the family its pride and more. I've sent good laborers to help your cause. If you return to Ostwick, come dine with us. My table is always open to you. Most sincerely, Lady Osher Latharn Trevelyan Bayart of Ostwick. Netizen, yeah, chat interactive. More or less. I have a bit of latency, but so there will be a bit of a delay, but nothing too extreme. I'm gonna come back to the Hunterfell thing. Between Navarra and Winter. Winston says go away. I assume you're talking about the previous one. Netizen seems real. My apologies, Netizen. There are a lot of bots that prey on this stream. That does happen. Inquisitor, both Tevinter and Navarra were fighting against Venatorian entrenched along their border. The battle showed no signs of abating until the Inquisition sent soldiers who pulled victory out of a seemingly insurmountable defeat. Both sides have attempted to claim this portion of land in the past, and both are attempting to do so again. Only the presence of our soldiers prevents them from beginning a war. We cannot allow this to happen. For the moment, each side is grateful enough to listen to our advice, and we must convince them to send their armies home, press on both sides, call upon favors, to do this, etc. Whisket says, "Oh, good. They've been getting a bunch of them tonight." Yeah, it is good to have. It's good to have somebody new who's not a chatbot. So welcome, Madison. Good to have you. Yeah. So let's go ahead and negotiate. Through the efforts of hundreds of negotiators, allies, and a few personal connections, Navarra and Tevinter have grudgingly issued orders for their soldiers to return to their respective cities. Good. The contested land has been split down the middle. We have averted a war today. I'll add nothing more, for there's no higher reward to ask for. Proudly, Ambassador Montelier. Fantastic. Okay, cool. Got a bunch of influence. Got a bunch of rewards. New thing. What's this? Oh, cool. Commander, a lot of mages just showed up. I hope they're friendlies, because if they're not, we're in trouble. Captain Ryland. You live in enhanced magic. Alright, fantastic. We wanted to do this one because we wanted Liliana to help with this. Kevin says, we've been burned before. The bots are ugly and heavily mold. It's true. They're disgusting. Disgusting creatures. Netizen says, you have a nice reading voice. Tempo? What's the word I'm looking for? Pentameter? Pentameter, I think, is something more specific. I think that's a poetic term. Not an expert. Cadence, maybe? I have plenty of practice from teaching. Teaching classes. And lecturing and all that sort of thing. I have one audiobook recording. It's an essay from C.S. Lewis. I'll put a link to that in the description after the stream's over. If you think that the voice is useful for that sort of thing. It's also a fascinating work in its own right. Yeah, and Edison says, yeah, especially the bots that post links to hacked sites and whatnot. Yeah, on YouTube sometimes. Yeah, those are terribly, terribly annoying. All right, so let's get some influence, information and such. We've gained access to a number of private libraries and archives. No information on Corypheus, unfortunately. However, we did find this fascinating treatise. Liliana, Grand Pommel. That's a pommel. That's not a treatise, but whatever, it's fine. Okay, now, we can go to a new area, but we have plenty of stuff to do in the areas we have available to us. And we have 20 minutes to still do the various stuff around Skyhold. And there's a lot to do around Skyhold. So we'll probably wrap the rest of that up tonight, shall we? We'll do the other thing, that logic puzzle quest in a little while. Do that maybe next week. So we should go to the Undercroft. Do that now, might as well. Kevin says, I think we've had some feds on here too. That's Whiskers wouldn't surprise me, damn feds. Yeah, that is possible. They would be that would be the bots.
Inquisitor?
Yeah. Either or
The
both,
Arcanist
whatever.
has arrived.
You should see for yourself.
At DEF CON, Netizen says we used to play Spot the Feds, now we play Spot the Hacker. Yeah, I mean, it is Insurrection Day, so it's a hell of a holiday for feds all over. One of their greatest accomplishments a year ago today.
Hello there.
Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Small person.
Well, don't just stand there slack-jawed. Let's figure out what you need.
Hi there,
You're the
Dagna.
magical advisor.
Oh, you're her. The Inquisitor. I'm Dagna. Arcanist Dagna. It's an honor, your worship. Is that it? The hand anchor mark? It's pretty. Breach was pretty too, in a destroy everything sort of way.
I welcome you to the Inquisition and look forward to your contribution.
Me too. I've heard some impossible things. I love impossible things. Those are the best to make, well, possible. I've looked at Harrod's devices. The precision is fantastic, but typical. Mundane. Old thinking. No disrespect meant to the classical trades, but you need a new perspective. I've made adjustments. As long as I keep making them, you can craft just about anything. Almost safely.
Almost safely. It's so pleasant. Oh my gosh. Now, this is another thing. She doesn't actually show up here unless you fulfill a certain quest in Dragon Age Origins. When she goes to join the Circle of Magi to learn about magic, even though she's a dwarf and can't do magic. So I'm so glad that I did that, because she's a fantastic character. Isn't says eventually everyone has a cop in their head. Yeah. Everyone's a fed under the right, usually threatened circumstances. What you eating? Homemade beef jerky. Made a batch Monday. Put way too much way too much cumin in. I was mentioning earlier. I make beef jerky all the time. Food dehydrator kind of thing. Usually just normal teriyaki beef jerky. Different kinds of. They try out with different spice blends in there too. And this time I accidentally spilled the cumin. So it's very, very dry spice, but not like spicy spiced, because the kids love it too, and they're very young. They don't like spicy too much yet. So turmeric though, or not turmeric. Why do I keep saying turmeric? Cumin, very good. I'd actually probably put too much cumin in next time. Honestly, it worked out very well. All right, let's see.
What qualifies you to be an Arcanist?
I took the title because I'm a magical researcher, philosopher, and master of practical application. And I like it. I can't actually do magic because I'm a dwarf, but that also means no risk of possession. Safer than a mage. It means that every skill I have, I've learned through reason and understanding. Coming from the Smith caste, I know the value of mastering a craft. Did you know dwarves invented enchanting?
It's really cool.
Probably.
It says, I believe in the psychological world call that the superego, my good sir. Well, we in the philosophical theological world call that demons, my good sir. Aren't you a little young to be part of the Inquisition? As Eric pointed out, she is a dwarf. She's supposed to be that dwarf, but she's also quite young. I think she's like, at this point, she's still in her 20s. She's relatively young for being such an expert. I told Erica, I told you turmeric too? No, it was cumin. Sorry, it was cumin. I don't know. Netizen says, agree to an extent. Superego modeled after mom and dad is one thing. Modeled after El Presidente is another. I wouldn't want anyone's superego modeled after the current Presidente. That seems deleterious to one's mental health. Or the last Presidente. Or the one before that, or the one before. Most of them, really. They all have their own problems. I've held fast to turmeric until... Really? It's not turmeric. It's cumin. I don't know why. I mix those two up sometimes because they both go in curry. Sorry. My bad. No, it's cumin, not turmeric.
Where does a dwarf go to study magical theory?
Get out. I asked myself that question for years. Turns out, not in Orzammar. I had to start at a circle. I had help, though. A Grey Warden, and I am forever grateful. With that sanction, I visited a half-dozen circles. The wonders I've seen. And with an objective eye, I can spot where they overlap. That's a surprise for every teacher. It's a grand tradition, and it works so well with new thinking.
Kevin says, when the Fed in your head starts seeming to be a demon? I mean... Okay, here we go. This is a constant argument that WizKid and I have. Usually on Facebook and such, but I bring it onto the stream sometimes. What can easily be called something like the superego, or something like, well, to use a modern buzzword, mass formation psychosis. I simply call a demon, because what angelic entities are, in large part, is a metaphysical, as a non-physical entity, presence, that interacts causally with the physical through final causes, right? By presenting ends typically to mass amounts of people simultaneously. So we have angelic powers, such powers and principalities, that are the angel or the spirit of a place, of a group, that coordinates groups of people together. We would call this miraculously or mysteriously. Similarly, you can have a demon. Well, again, I mean this quite literally, a demon of what we would call ideological possession in psychology, or just possession in theology. That it is a literal demon that is guiding a mass group of people as a mass group. Something that does not exist on its own. A group qua group, does not exist on its own. It doesn't exist as a primary substance, only as a secondary substance that is tied together mystically. And that influence of the group on the individual can only be supernatural. Supernatural meaning beyond the physical, because the group as such has no causal power. But there's very little explanatory. There's very little that's explanatory about a group having causality, aside from mass formation type psychologies, mass psychologies, crowd or mob psychology. With that said, you can explain these interactions individualistically. You can explain interactions of a group individualistically by looking at participation in the group as an end that each individual has, and that conditions their other ends. This is all Mises making this point, right? Mises makes this point that you can analyze group activity as on the individual level, just as well as you can analyze it on the group level. However, ideas having causal power of their own is strictly demonic. And again, that winds up being strictly demonic in the final causal sense rather than in the efficient causal sense or in the material causal sense. Edison says, I guess an interesting question is where one believes superego comes from. Again, I think largely it's angelic, whether it's fallen or unfallen. Because it says superego is the combination of societal norms and one's personal sense of morality, if we're discussing in the classical sense. Sure, but that's not very classical. That's like 100, 150 years old. That's not that classical. Classical's 2,000 years old and older. Pre-fall of Rome. 1,800 years maybe. Not quite 2,000. So Marcus says, so at least you can bother a demon by saying the rosary and praying to St. Michael, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Or St. Joseph, Terror of Demons. Wiskid says the superego. So, like the superego is the angel on your shoulder, the id is the devil, and in the center is the ego, which actually makes all the decisions. The ego is the self, strictly speaking. The id, I wouldn't say is the devil; it's the appetite. This is why I think that the Platonic tripartite soul works far better as a system of analysis than the Freudian and then Neo-Freudian and then etc. The modern psychological ego, superego, and id. Because in the Platonic context, we have the appetites, we have the spirit, and we have the reason, the intellect. This corresponds. So this corresponds, according to C.S. Lewis, to the head being reason, the chest being spirit, and the belly being appetite. So appetite is what drives one to acquire things. So the spirit is what fends off threats, whether that is threats to physical safety or to reputational honor type things, for glory and things like that. And the mind, or the intellect, is what grasps abstract concepts and directs the other two parts. All this is from Plato's Republic. It's very, very well explained in Plato's Republic. I think I have a lecture or two on it that I can link in the description afterwards. But I think it's a much better predictive model than the id, ego, and superego tripartite division. Seems like a ton of factors to try and use the definition of something. Either one really does, but I think subdivision of the self can be useful, again, so long as there is still a unity kept in mind. That's how it plays out psychologically, the parts of your life that impose order and a sense of rules on you. It's fair enough, but that can also be demonic, Wiskid, I think. This is a wonderful stream and chat. Thank you. Appreciate that. Like I said, I use the game as an excuse to talk about philosophy. That's the whole idea of all of these. Feel free to go back and go back and watch through previous ones. There's a lot of these kinds of a lot of these kinds of discussions going back. You're welcome to join the you're welcome to join the Discord server. That link is already in the description. So come on by, check that out. That's a permanent link, so feel free to join in. Detrick says mass psychosis is such a fascinating phenomenon. I wish I knew more about studies on it. I've only recently had any knowledge of that particular branch once it kind of blew up with, was his name Robert Malone, the guy who was just banned from everywhere and was on Rogan. But there's some interesting stuff there. I'll see if I can put a link to that too. But well, actually, you know what? That's not relevant. I'll put a link to another thing that he said. Where he talks about that in particular. I haven't read too much in that. This gets to classicalism, classical psychology. You're cutting strings there. I got classical psychology. I don't think anything can be called classical if it has been developed since the fall of Rome. But that's the ancient historian in me talking. Recent to me, by the way, when I say recent or recent to me means since the Enlightenment. So, recent developments in science or recent developments in psychology means modern. Modern in the philosophical sense. Anyway, at least I live in a recent country. The discovery of North and South America was recent, to my historical eye. Anyway, back to Dagna, who, again, yes, very young, but I still like very much. I want to at least finish this conversation before we wrap up.
What is it you do, exactly?
I was born to the forge. That's literal in the Smithcast. So the hammer and tong, that's like a heartbeat. But you've a man for that already, and a good one. I'm here because of my passion for magic. Magical study, magical theory, magical enchantment, and through it, the manipulation of masterworks. I studied it all with an objective eye. No secrets, no fears. That lets me apply principles like no other. Maybe one other, but I don't have that wonky of a mind, so I still kind of win.
You know who that makes me miss? You know who that makes me miss. so peeved that they aren't in this game. Wizkid says, yeah, the id is much more of a worldly phenomenon and it's a purely corrupting force than it is a purely corrupting force. Christian cross-pollinization of pop culture is at fault for that little misunderstanding. Yeah, I would say the id is... So the id, as I understand it, roughly corresponds to the appetite in the Platonic view. Very roughly corresponds to the appetite. The superego very roughly corresponds to the spirit. And the ego very roughly corresponds to the intellect. But those are very rough and the borders are in different places. The core of each is roughly in the same place. It has roughly the same function, but the divisions are very different, and the reasons for the divisions are very different.
What's the story with enchanting?
Lyrium is the heart. In certain rational patterns, it beats like something alive. That's how I see it. So, a mage can make your weapons do things, but with the right runes, the right rarities, your toys become wonders. It's the one thing mages can't do. Drives them mad. Literally. Dwarves are resistant, so it doesn't affect us. Mostly.
Edison says, Christian cross-pollinization of pop culture is a fascinating concept. Some would say that it is the popular culture. Kind of. But I think that our popular culture is, to borrow angelic terms and demonic terms even maybe, is possessed by the echo of Christianity, rather than it being Christian itself. I've made this argument before in what I think was it's one of my most watched videos, in part because it was part of a big series. If you remember the one marvelous scene thing that a bunch of YouTubers did before Endgame came out, I made a video about looking at, in particular, Thor as a Christ figure, as a very accidental Christ figure. Drawing the analogy to a lot of Marvel heroes, especially, but I mean, you could make the analogy to almost any popular culture hero is so distinctively Christian, mostly following the Christus Victor model, that it would be unrecognizable to any other culture. Thor, like Marvel superhero Thor, would be utterly unrecognizable as a hero to the Norse pagans who are familiar with the Edis. Completely unrecognizable. Because he's a Christ type. He's not a classical pagan hero at all, even slightly. It's impressive, the level of connection. Again, that's another thing that I'll put that in the description as well. There's gonna be a lot in the description today. That's fine though. There often is. But yeah, I try and cite my references in there, so always come back afterwards and check out what's down there. Like I said, it is, and that'll be in like an hour or two after stream, hopefully. Depends on how long it takes me to find everything. But yeah, it is, that is, I think, very fascinating. It originates from a talk I gave at a conference a few years ago, looking at the connection there. And at that conference, I gave a very, like, abstracted description of the story of Christ. And I said, okay, I asked the audience, okay, who am I talking about? Immediately, one of my students who happened to be in the audience raises her hand. Harry Potter? I said, oh, well, it could be. And then I filled in the details of the Christ story, filling them in with Harry Potter details. And I said, okay, wait, back up. Or am I talking about Luke Skywalker? And then I filled in the story with Luke Skywalker details. And I said, okay, wait, back up. Am I talking about Thor? And I filled in the story with Thor details. I said, oh, wait, back up. No, I'm talking about Christ. And I filled in the relevant details. And it works. It is the same story. It is that particular type of heroism. Oh, Wizkid says, oh, what, no sandal? 0 out of 10, worst game in the series? Yeah, okay, I can give you that. Anyway, yeah, I'll put both of those versions of that talk in the description. I recommend you check them out. They're really good. Especially if my view numbers are any indication.
You have the ability to make exceptional weapons and armor. Masterworks?
There's an art to the forge, as well as enchanting. You need an ear for it. And hands. Eyes, too. Nothing bad to say about Herod on that front. He's wonderful. But there's this little more needed. With the right bits, an edge can be more than an edge. Armor can do more than protect. A hue can be just a bit brighter. In short, smithing can be more. In short.
Get it? Get it? It says we're post-Christian, hence media like the Binding of Isaac. Yeah, I get that. I think that there's a great view of it too. rather than being post-Christian, we're also in a sense pre-Christian. Because we have these echoes of Christianity, there is fertile ground for the seed of evangelization to be planted. There was an article a while ago about something like this that I thought was fantastic. It was about analogizing our current culture to something like what St. Patrick encountered in Ireland. Speaking of 500 AD. But it's similar because they had interactions with Christendom, but only distant. And it was very similar to our sort of memory, our cultural memory of Christendom, rather than it being explicit and in the here and now. And I think you're right. In some places, 500 AD was post-Christian. In some places, because it waxed and it waned, especially with like Julian the Apostate and the Roman Empire and stuff like that. Oh, welcome to the Discord. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Anyway, though, that is unfortunately about all the time I have for the actual stream. Feel free to join me again, though. I'm going to be, I do regular streams on Monday nights and Thursday nights. Monday night, we're playing Greedfall, which I've greatly been enjoying, very, very much. I have no idea how far through the game I am. No clue. No idea. No right idea. Erica can probably give that answer. She's played it before. I haven't. I'm going through it fresh. And then Thursdays, we're doing Dragon Age Inquisition. We have full playlists of the Dragon Age series so far. If you want to see what we did, see what choices we made, the tapestries are up there as well, so you can check that out. Or feel free to watch back through. I've played Nier Automata. I've played the Mass Effect trilogy. I've played Red Dead Redemption 2. Is there anything else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I think that might be it. Might be it. Oh, Far Cry 5. Also, Far Cry 5. So those are the big ones. You can find the playlist on the channel. You can also find my various lectures on the channel, so I welcome you to check those out. Anyway, that is, as I said, all the time I have tonight. I usually wrap this up around midnight Eastern. I can usually just post D&D memes in the Discord. It's true. They're good ones, though. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. I'll see you all next time. Have a good night.